Well, happy new year, wrestling fans, one and all. A new installment of the ZNT wrestling show is upon us. It is January, what the fuck is it? January 11th when we're recording this. Obviously, thank you for your patience over the past week and a half or so, but here we are, Tomas, the final AEW pay-per-view of 2023. They dubbed it Worlds End. It took place from Nassau Coliseum, which is a great wrestling venue. I don't know, man. I mean, AEW had a very topsy-turvy 2023, that's for sure. And I feel like this show encapsulated the good and the bad of all elite wrestling.
100%. I don't want to put all the blame on one Phil Brooks, but that man, CM Punk, definitely turned this company inside out. And I hate using the phrase, but they were never the same. I feel like AEW was never the same, but it was not just CM Punk's fault. I feel like it was the handling of the CM Punk situation. We have CM Punk has kind of nestled quite nicely into WWE right now. He feels like just another guy on the roster, which I think he needs to be. But we're not here to talk about CM Punk. We're here to talk about the show. And I think you said it best. I have a lot of good things to say about this pay-per-view, but I have a lot of bad things to say about this pay-per-view too. First and foremost, I don't think AEW is ready to do monthly pay-per-views.
No.
I feel like they're always procrastinating to put matches on here. I feel like shit is just being thrown at the card last second. There were some very, very, very questionable booking decisions on this show. Some that are going to make me rage, some that are going to be, you know what, that was a good match, but overall, this was not the best. There was some good, there was some bad, but I wouldn't compare this to All Out 2023. No. I wouldn't compare this to any of the, hell, even the pandemic pay-per-views, pre-pandemic pay-per-views, couple pay-per-views, basically anything pre-CM Punk, I would not compare this to. So we had a 0 hour and it had 3 matches. I still think that's too much. I think it should be no more than 2. But anywho, we
just have one. Just have one match. You don't need to throw everybody on the card.
You got WWE. He doesn't do any pre-show matches, which I miss. I wish they would do a pre-show match. I feel like it's a good way to get get the gears oiled.
It's an appetizer. It's an appetizer
before the show, and I get it. AEW is still trying to sell a pay-per-view. I find it crazy in 2023, 2024 that you got Tony Khan that is selling these things for $50 a pop. When I realized the other day, TNA has a streaming service where you can watch all of their monthly specials, and except for the big four, but even then, those are cheaper than an AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, they have
$30-$40 tops.
Yeah, they have a fucking stacked card on Saturday night known as Hard to Kill, and it's practically sold out in Las Vegas. We have a friend that's going to that show. TNA looks like it's bound for a resurgence this year. I don't know what it is, and we'll save this for the end, but it feels to me 2023, I think, in my personal opinion, it is the best year of pro wrestling quality-wise that I've experienced since becoming a fan in 2002. 2024 looks to be even crazier. It
really does. We got
wild.
The Rumble on the horizon. We got Perth for Elimination Chamber, which honestly is being hyped up before WrestleMania is even being spoken of. But we got a 0 hour to talk about, and this is one of the issues I have with this pay-per-view. We open up with Willow Nightingale versus Kris Statlander in a babyface match, what I found interesting. Stokely Hathaway was on commentary, and it looks like he's trying to court Kris Statlander. I don't watch Ring of Honor, but apparently Stokely Hathaway has been trying to drive a wedge between Statlander and Nightingale just because he's a little shit and he likes to stir the pot. And he basically booked this match to see Nightingale and Statlander kill each other. And no, this was a friendly match. And here's the thing. I love Nightingale and Statlander, but this match was sloppy. There was a lot of botched spots on here. And I saw somebody online say that this is why you need a performance center. This is why you need a training facility because, yes, Nightingale and Statlander, especially Nightingale, have experience on the indies, but there's a difference between wrestling a show in front of 100 people and wrestling on pay-per-view in front of close to 10,000 people.
Yeah.
There's such a difference here. And, I feel like these ladies were given 13 minutes, which is more than enough, to give them to gel. But there was just a lot of sloppiness. There was a spot where Nightingale and Statlander were going back and forth. And Nightingale botched a power bomb and Statlander botched a recovery for it. And it was just, it was very hard to watch at times.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, that's convincing me enough to not go back and watch the 0 hour. I just watched the main show. So that's why I'm kind of letting Tomas take the lead here on that. But I love Statlander, and from your description of this feud, why would you want to turn Kris Statlander heel? I think she's such a natural babyface. I mean, I'm down for experimentation. I don't think Statlander's ever been a heel in her career, and pairing her with Stokely Hathaway sounds semi-interesting, but hey, I could be very wrong. I could be very wrong in jumping the gun.
I've never seen Statlander cut a promo, but I feel like she could benefit from having a mouthpiece. I feel like she could benefit from some sort of character development, because even during her TBS title run, you know, she was the workhorse champion, but it was very bland. There was no character to it. There was like, you know, I feel like this could be a shot in the arm for her, but it just really depends on the execution. And you know how Tony Khan likes to, hey, here's this idea. Now we're not going to feature this idea for 2 months, and then we're going to come back to it, and we're going to expect you guys to still care. They were, you know, dawdling with the idea of turning Willow Nightingale heel and having her join up with, you know, the female House of Black, but I'm glad they scrapped that idea.
Yeah,
but, you know,
thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I hate to say it, if this was WWE and this was Triple H with the book, I would trust the process a lot better with, you know, that's like if you took, I don't know, Raquel Rodriguez and stuck a manager with her, like I don't know, a Mr. Stone, and then turned her heel. Like, I would trust that process a lot more. But this is just, I have no faith in this. You know, you have the players, you have the talent, but I just don't trust, you know, the execution in this. I'm going to give this match 2 stars. It was decent, but very sloppy. Here's a match that made me very upset. The 20-man battle royal for a TNT title shot whenever you wanted. Basically, this is AEW spin on the Money in the Bank ladder match. And the reason why
they have like 10 spins on Money in the Bank with the casino ladder match, the poker chip that MJF could have cashed in at any point that he wanted to. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't know.
And the reason why this battle royal made me so angry is because I'm going to list off some names that were in this battle royal. Serpentico, Dalton Castle, John Morrison, Lee Johnson, 2.0, The Dark Order, Kip Sabian, Christopher Daniels, Rocky Romero, Darius Martin, Action Andretti, The Blade and the Butcher, Danhausen, Lance Archer, and Trent Beretta. You see my issue here? You know what I see in that ring? I see a crop of either underutilized talent or guys that have been in AEW since day one that have gotten the shaft.
Big time. John Morrison was the name that stood out to me as, again, another pro wrestling booker that doesn't know how to utilize that motherfucker, because he is way too talented to be shafted like that.
And I'm not even going to call him Johnny TV, because it doesn't fucking matter, because he's not being utilized. Raise your hand if you remembered that John Morrison was signed to AEW. Because I forgot until I saw this match.
I didn't.
If you were angered with the way Vince was misutilizing John Morrison in his second run in WWE, then this should infuriate you.
Oh, yeah.
Barely see this man on TV. That he is relegated to a Rampage appearance once every 3 months. If that.
Good Lord.
Dalton Castle, a former Ring of Honor World Champion, one of the crown jewels of Ring of Honor, is now in a storyline where he just loses.
Wow.
He was the second man eliminated from this battle royal. The disrespect to Dalton Castle. I remember Dalton Castle tearing it up with Adam Cole, with Jay Lethal, with Dijak, with so many stars in Ring of Honor. Now he's being relegated to this?
He just has a losing streak, and it's like AEW's spin on what Adam Rose was going through in 2015, where he's like the party person, and then he goes through a tailspin because of a fucking bunny, and he just loses all the time, and now he's a party pooper, and he doesn't want to have fun anymore. Like,
basically, like, I'm expecting Dalton Castle to turn on the boys, and I don't want to see that. I love the boys. It's just, You look at Dalton Castle and you see this man exploding with charisma. You don't have anything for him? You don't have one goddamn thing for him to do.
You don't have anything for Christopher Daniels to do? How talented is that man?
I can understand Daniels. Daniels is getting up in there in age. He's transitioned to a backstage role in AEW. But it's just sad when you see these names in here. A top star like Rocky Romero in New Japan. Action Andrade, a guy that pinned Chris Jericho last year. What the fuck is he doing? Oh, I'll tell you what he's doing. He's doing a stupid-ass gimmick where he can drink a water bottle in one gulp. That's his party trick.
That's his action in Action Andretti. That's the whole gimmick right there. That's
the
it.
Butcher and the Blade, who attacked Cody Rhodes in early Dynamite history.
I remember that. Man, oh man.
Yeah, those are the ones that just pissed me off the most. And I was watching this match going, I don't know who's gonna win this because this is a ring full of jobbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of. Also in the beginning of the match, Lance Archer, which I do not like him. I do not get the appeal of him. He's just a guy to me, but they still treat him like this big threatening hoss. He gets buried underneath a sea of tables and chairs, along with Killswitch. Who is Killswitch, by the way? That's Luchasaurus. He was with Chris and Christian Cage. So if you're wondering who Killswitch is, that is Luchasaurus.
Named after Christian Cage's finishing maneuver, by the way. So that adds extra confusion.
And I get why they did this, because you want to keep the big hosses out while the rest of these guys can work. But who fucking cares about anyone in this match? Have Killswitch go on a fucking tear and just eliminate everyone in 30 seconds. This battle royal went 13 minutes. This match did not need to go 13 minutes. You could have had a quick battle royal where Killswitch cleared the fucking field.
It sounds like just a battle royal to me. Yeah. It sounds like something that would have happened on Rampage.
It sounds like something that would happen on the pre-show of WrestleMania back in 2012.
Oh man, yeah. So sounds like something that would happen on the pre-show at WrestleMania in 2006.
Yeah, so
God.
The final three are Killswitch, Lance Archer, and Trent Beretta, which apparently Trent Beretta is going through some sort of transformation where he's going to turn on the best friends. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Where is Chuck Taylor? Where is Chuck Taylor?
Kentucky, probably. I don't know.
I don't know. Up just I'm curious. But
yeah, I'm unsure.
I think Taylor. Turned on Romero in the match and threw him out of the ring, so they're planting the seeds for that. But Beretta gets eliminated. No, I think Beretta outlasts Archer, which that says a lot about the booking of Archer. But awesome. Was there any doubt? Killswitch eliminates Beretta, and Killswitch gets the TNT title shot. We all kind of saw where this was going after Killswitch won this. He is the former TNT champion, but he is also Christian Cage's lackey.
No, he's not.
And
he never held that TNT title. Christian Cage has been the champion the whole time.
You're right.
Yeah.
I just feel like since he's been around the champion so long, I just kind of morphed the two together. But Christian Cage has a big match with Adam Copeland, a no disqualification match for the TNT title. So you kind of saw the writing on the wall with this, but I don't know, man. This match made me upset. I'm going to give it a star. I did not need to go this long. Too much waste of talent. Too much waste of talent in this ring. And then to top off the pre-show, Hook defended the FTW title against Wheeler Yuta in an FTW rules match, which is just a no-holds-barred match, a Taz rules match.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of this.
Extreme Rules.
Fine.
Yeah.
Why is Wheeler Yuta? There's so many fucking titles in AEW. I see Wheeler Yuta come out with the pure title. I'm like, why do you need the FTW title then? Are you not content with the fucking title that you have now?
I completely forgot that Wheeler Yuta won the pure title back from Shibata. I completely forgot about that.
Shibata won it from Yuta.
Yep. I remember that, but this sounds to me like Hook just makes Yuta tap out to the Red Rum and then he retains. And then he gets an AEW World Championship match on Dynamite in a couple weeks after that because Tony Khan makes a joke about Jinder Mahal, and he decides to answer what WWE is doing on Raw with Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal for the world title. He's going to book the winner of AEW World Title match in this show up against Hook, and yeah, who the fuck is Hook? Who the fuck is Hook?
Not to go off on a tangent, but I have no idea why WWE just randomly decided to remember Jinder Mahal. But that was not a shot at AEW. It's so fucking strange.
No,
that Tony Khan cares. If you love pro wrestling as much as you do, you should be congratulating Jinder Mahal on getting a world title shot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not to go on too much of a tangent, but I would come off like a hypocrite if I was excited to see Seth versus Jinder. I'm actually kind of scared that Jinder might actually win just to kind of troll everybody. I don't think he
fucking wins.
I don't think he's going to, because the plan is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the title at Mania. That's set in stone for sure. But how funny would it be if Jinder actually won?
They're gonna tease it. I guarantee you, either next week at Raw or if they run it back at the Rumble, Mahal will hit the Colossus. And he's going to get the closest near fall ever, and everyone's going to shit their pants.
Yeah, I can only imagine the meltdown Tony Khan is going to have. And then he's just going to put the world title on Hook for reasons, you know.
Jinder Mahal,
why the fuck not?
Champion would be based as fuck, and you don't hinder the Jinder.
No, I'm not hindering the Jinder. Again,
don't hinder the Jinder.
I'm not going to pretend that I haven't said my fair share about Jinder Mahal's booking as WWE champion, which I thought was atrocious back in 2017. But, I mean, Tony Khan is the president of this company, and he's going out calling out the USA Network on Twitter. And, I don't know.
Tony Khan. I said this online. Tony Khan, somebody give this guy a bottle of water, a fucking chicken sandwich, and let him sleep for 20 hours straight.
He is stooping to petty 1999 Eric Bischoff lows right now.
Every time I see him, he looks just fucking strung out of his mind. He looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. He doesn't look hydrated. It's just somebody take the
yeah.
Only on the ZNT Wrestling Show can we go from talking about Hook and Wheeler Yuta to talking about Jinder Mahal and how you should not hinder the Jinder.
Yep,
this is
exactly.
Public service announcement. 2 public service announcements coming your way. Number 1, don't hinder the Jinder. Number 2, R-Truth is in the Judgment Day.
He is in the Judgment Day. I can't wait to talk more about that. But anyway, yeah, Hook, I guess, puts the red rum on Wheeler Yuta and makes him tap. But yeah. Was there any doubt?
I have no rating for this match because I don't remember it.
I can't rate this match because I didn't watch it. But anyway, on to the main show we go now. And there's a big thing that Tony Khan was doing over the past number of weeks on Dynamite. I don't know if he was doing it on Collision. I'm pretty sure he was. But this is actually a good Tony Khan concoction here. The Continental Classic. Basically his answer to New Japan's G1, his version of the G1. It's a round-robin tournament. Every person who is in a certain... there's a blue league and a gold league, right? Every single person in each league faces each other in one-on-one matches. And if they win, they get 3 points. And then the 2 people at the top of the standings wrestle in the semifinals. And then we will talk about the final match when we get to that. But... this opening contest, Tomas, and I'll let you get to it, but it's pretty much every single person on this card who is in the Continental Classic, and yeah, short end of the stick for every single one.
I was gonna say, what a motley crew this is. This is the thanks for participating match. You have take a look at these teams. You have Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, Mark Briscoe, and Daniel Garcia taking on Jay Lethal, Brody King, Jay White, and Roosh. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare. Because I have some things to say about that.
I'm not going to Alex write it right now, but anyway.
Garcia comes out, and he's about to do his stupid fucking dance, but Danielson cuts him off. Apparently, the story there is Danielson agrees with me, and he told Garcia he needs to stop doing the fucking dance, because I guess Danielson is courting Garcia to join the BCC. Who fucking cares at this point? They had their chance with Daniel Garcia. They fucking floundered it. They turned him into Alex Wright. Now all he does is this stupid fucking dance that I'm so over. He's a one-trick pony. I'm over it. And I'm glad that is kind of making its way into this storyline because Garcia had all the potential in the world. And then Tony Khan just decided, nah, I'm bored. We're not going to do it anymore.
Remember,
so fucking weird.
Remember when I said last year that Daniel Garcia should have been the guy to take the Ring of Honor World Title from Chris Jericho, and they just didn't do it.
They just didn't do it.
They just didn't make Daniel Garcia the main eventer that he should be, because he has the look and he has the talent, Tomas. I hate to burst your bubble, but Daniel Garcia is a very talented pro wrestler.
He is.
He's just shackled with the Alex Wright stigmatism, I guess. He comes out with a stupid dance. He's not the Das Wunder kid dance, but it's like, Jesus Christ.
The same fucking thing, and it's like,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing, exactly.
Here's the thing: there needs to be some sort of like quality control in AEW, because I get it. Tony Khan likes to be the cool promoter. He likes to say, you know what, guys. You go out there, you do what you want, you see what works, and I'm going to be okay with it. Say what you want about Vince McMahon, but Vince McMahon liked to have control, and he knew when to put a stop to stupid shit. Not all the time, because we all know Vince is chock full of stupid ideas.
Oh, but, yeah.
You know, there was some method to his madness of, you know, having a map for every single wrestler on his roster.
And having
the final say in everything.
No pun intended, keeping the reins on everything too. You know, like
basically, but
making sure that they don't go fully unhinged and off the walls with their stupidity.
He ran a tight ship. But you know, you look at who's in this match, and here's my only issue with the Continental Classic. You got Briscoe, you got Garcia, you got Lethal, you got Jay White, you got Roosh. It would have been nice if if it wasn't so predictable, because there were only 4 guys that were like really being booked to win this thing, and that was Moxley, Kingston, Swerve Strickland, who I think got a little cheated, and Jay White. You know, we're gonna get into this later. I know why Kingston got booked the way he did, and that was absolutely asinine the way they did it. Swerve Strickland is a star. Jay White is a guy that they got to keep fucking happy, or he's gonna regret his decision. Moxley is the one that kind of bugs me. I feel like Moxley has done it all in AEW, and he has like reached the pinnacle so many times. He didn't. You could have given that spot to somebody else. A Jay White, Swerve Strickland, a Roosh, a Jay Lethal, who did not score a single point in that entire tournament.
Which is a blasphemy. Jay Lethal is way too talented to lose every match. But hey, I have a quick unrelated question too. When did Brody King, Jay Lethal, and Roosh join the Bang Bang Gang? Why are they teaming with Jay White?
Oh, it has nothing to do with the mean part of Bullet Club Gold. It's just the fact that they're all losers. Everyone in this match is a loser.
Yeah, Brody King is a loser? Oh my God. Like, what?
Win?
How can you make Brody King a fucking savage, such a fucking geek in this tournament? Like, Daniel Garcia beats him with a roll-up? Come on, Brody King should have killed him. Like, stupid. But anyway, Danielson...
And you wonder why certain people want to go back to the Fed. More on that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the next match. But Bryan, by the way, is wrestling with this gigantic, stupid-looking eye patch because, once again, Danielson is a fucking machine, and he's doing Tony Khan all the favors in the world by working injured like he has for the majority of 2023. You know?
Hey, here's a New Year's resolution in 2024. How about we normalize stop being a tough guy and wrestling with multiple injuries and with muscles hanging off the tendon?
So there's also a fun little story going on commentary here because you have Nigel McGuinness sitting on color commentary for a bit, and anytime something negative happens to Bryan Danielson, like Daniel Garcia, for example, doing a blind tag to kill all of Danielson's momentum, Nigel McGuinness is so pro Daniel Garcia. Because those of you who are ROH purists, you know that one of the greatest ROH feuds of all time is Danielson versus McGuinness. I think Nigel's cleared. I think they're just waiting for the right time to do Danielson versus McGuinness again. But
probably Wembley.
Yeah, I would fucking love that. That's the ideal place. But
Wembley, where McGuinness can have his retirement match and he can finally ride off into the sunset. It's a damn shame because McGuinness was offered a contract in WWE back in like 2009, I want to say. Injury kept him back from accepting that, and then he ended up signing with TNA. And we all know what happened there. It did not work for him.
Did not.
Once again got offered a contract from WWE, but he was not clear to compete. He was broken neck. He was not allowed to wrestle. He became one of the best commentators in WWE with his work in NXT and NXT UK and 205 Live. And then in probably the most puzzling decision under the Triple H reign, Triple H let him go.
Yeah. Nigel McGuinness is way too good as a color commentator, but in any regard, this is a fun enough all-star tag team contest here. Everybody gets their shit in. I mean, they do the sequence towards the end where these 6 guys hit their big moves. I don't know why people, when Claudio was wrestling Brody King in there, which sounds like a fucking awesome match on paper, I don't know why they were chanting meat for Claudio. Like, because Claudio's a pretty slender guy. Like, I don't think he's a big hoss, you know?
Crowd, don't kill this chant, please.
Don't
save it. These are for your Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. These are for your Ivar and Otis's. This is for your Ivars and Bronson Reeds.
Brody King. It's for Brody King. It's not for Claudio. No. Yeah. it's too funny. But in any case, Jay Lethal gets in there and he has a nice little sequence with Daniel Garcia. Hits the lethal combination, goes for the lethal injection, but it's countered. Mark Briscoe, who we barely talked about in this little segment here, he does end up hitting a froggy bow. He gets knocked out. Lethal and Garcia are back together in the ring, and Garcia does the jackknife pin gimmick and pins Jay Lethal because, I mean, I guess Tony Khan is deciding to push Daniel Garcia again, of all people. But of all the people that you had in this match, like, Daniel Garcia is who we're picking. But now I'm gonna go 3. Maybe 3 1/4. I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed
this. 3
is
fair.
Yeah. I enjoyed this enough.
Too. These are great wrestlers. I just don't think an 8-man tag needs to go 18 minutes.
No.
If you want to trim this down, made it like 10 minutes, 12 minutes tops.
Give it like a sprint feel.
Yeah,
like,
100%. You know, because this could have been this was a lot of fun. I remember there was one spot in the match where total anarchy broke out and everyone was just fighting on the ringside, and people loved it. I thought it was a really cool spot, but it's like, you know, you have so much talent here. And, you know, I see a story in a lot of these people. I see a lot of people mentioning online, I'm like, that Jay Lethal, you know, because everyone was banned from ringside in the Continental Classic, didn't win a single match. So this could build to like Lethal finally leaving Jarrett and the Goof Troop. But
yeah,
there is a story there. But what happens after that? What happens after Jay Lethal turns babyface?
Yeah, there's no long-term booking in AEW anymore. Unless your names are the Elite, Hangman Adam Page, Moxley, Bryan Danielson to an extent, there is no long-term booking in there anymore. And it's sad. But anyway.
AEW's Achilles heel.
Yeah, speaking of a story that doesn't have an aftermath, really, and it's a good story at that, we have Andrade El Idolo taking on Miro in one-on-one action. Miro, of course, the Redeemer, as we talked about on the All Out podcast after the classic Hoss fight that he had with Powerhouse Hobbs. His wife, CJ Perry, comes into the picture in AEW, and she does not form an alliance with her husband because that's what logic would dictate. They decide to Vince McMahon this, and they drag out this alliance. CJ Perry actually has Andrade El Idolo as her number 1 client. And I'm like, why? Why does she pick Andrade specifically? Is it because of his dashing good looks? Is it because of his talent? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently this was a Collision exclusive feud, which I'm sorry I haven't been keeping up with Collision. So if you haven't been watching Collision, good luck figuring out what the fuck's going on. Apparently the storyline boils down to jealous husband is jealous. Well, if he was so jealous, why did he just walk away from CJ at All Out? Why didn't he embrace her? Why didn't they just say, hey, we're in AEW, let's fucking take over this company? And then, you know, I feel like they're taking elements of Andrade's NXT run because in NXT, Andrade had the services of one, Zelina Vega.
But
Zelina Vega and Andrade made it clear from the start, no. There is no romance going on here. This is strictly a business endeavor. This is a business partnership. And
well, yeah.
Props to WWE. They kept it as a business partnership. They never introduced any romantic elements. Zelina Vega was there to represent Andrade, and she got physical in his matches in NXT, and it was fucking awesome. And holy fuck, I miss NXT Black and Gold.
Oh, I did. I missed that team of Zelina and Andrade when Andrade was the NXT champion. Oh my God, that is my favorite iteration of Andrade right there. But
It's like that is the only time, probably from there are probably some good examples. Probably, this is gonna go. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. That was probably the best male and female business partnership since Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, and even then they were a thing.
oh yeah, it's interesting stuff. But
I just feel like they were taking elements from that storyline with the whole CJ is, oh, I'm a businesswoman and I need a client, and me and Andrade, this is strictly professionalism. But
sure
why
it is.
In the beginning, sure. And I like the pairing of Andrade and Vicky Guerrero personally. That's a partnership I could have gotten down with.
But then what happened? What happened to Vicky Guerrero in AEW? Vicky Guerrero introduced Andrade 2 years ago in AEW, and I haven't really heard of anything about Vicky Guerrero since then. So
Vicky's gone from AEW. She's been gone since last year.
Yeah, she has been gone. She has been gone. She disappeared. And now Andrade is
maybe in an alternate universe where CJ and Miro aren't married, sure, this would be a good pairing. But again, we know what Miro and CJ are famous for. They're famous for being Rusev and Lana. They were famous for being the Russian power couple. They were famous for Rusev and Lana Day. Just let them do that. Again,
and it looks like Tony Khan finally got the clue, because after a pretty good match, I was expecting better out of these two. These two didn't really click as well as I would have liked or I would have imagined. I mean, they were hitting their greatest hits, and it was a very physical style match. Go ahead.
Somebody in this match was probably a little antsy because it has been reported and confirmed by Tony Khan in the post media scrum. Andrade El Idolo has finished up his time with AEW.
Yep.
He's no longer with the company. Wow, that's really shocking considering he tried to get himself fired last year because he was so frustrated.
Hey, I see Paul Levesque has entered the chat when we're talking about Andrade here and him being a free agent. But yeah, I mean, mark my words. You can quote me on this and then some. I am predicting that we see Andrade as a surprise entrant in the Men's Royal Rumble. I'm putting my stamp on that.
Two things. Number one, speaking of Zelina Vega, she tweeted out that she knows the secret. That's all you need to know.
Vega's got a secret. Vega's got a secret.
Maybe now you'll understand why Vince McMahon implemented no compete clauses. Because
you don't say.
You could have prevent something like this from happening. Maybe even like not even 90 day, maybe like a 60-day no compete clause. But we're having some crazy instances like CM Punk showing up in WWE 2 months after he's fired.
Yeah.
In Chicago at Survivor Series. Now we might get Andrade showing up in WWE 1 month after he left AEW.
In the Royal Rumble match of all places.
Fucking insane.
Like, I would love that. I would love that.
On the flip side, a few months ago, we had a lot of mass releases, and now we're just seeing Mustafa Ali show up on the Indies. We're now just seeing Matt Riddle and Dolph Ziggler show up in New Japan. Like, I feel like there's a method to the old man's madness. Not defending Vince.
No.
But, there's a method to the madness. Anywho, back to the match. This is where things get a little weird near towards the end. You think CJ is there to help Andrade, but he's not. She actually turns on him and joins up with Miro. Fucking finally.
Yeah, so this is after a sequence where Miro locks in the accolade, but Andrade gets his left hand on the bottom rope.
Over.
No, it's the accolade, but Miro basically is yelling at he's yelling at his wife at ringside to cheer for him instead because, of course, we need the husband and wife drama here. Andrade hits a Judas effect on Miro, which looks way better than how Chris Jericho does it. I am, honestly, after looking at that move and rewatching that match, I'm convinced that Andrade has a better Judas effect. Just saying.
Oh, you mean the fake-out boot into the spinning elbow? Yeah, that is an Andrade exclusive, and nobody else can do it better than him.
Andrade's just so fucking crisp in the ring.
Stop trying to be your husband, please.
And Andrade, stop trying to be your wife, because Andrade locks in a figure 8. I'm not shitting you. He locks in the figure 8, and then Lana basically trips up Andrade by his hands as he's doing the bridge thing that Charlotte does. And yeah, this basically is where Miro capitalizes. He locks in the accolade one more time, and Andrade taps out.
Over.
I know what I said, accolade, but
it was game over for Andrade.
Yeah, it is game over as he basically finishes up his time in Tony Khan's promotion. And yeah, see you in the Rumble match in a couple weeks, buddy. I can't wait. But
how do you fumble Andrade? How?
I don't know.
I will go out on a limb and say he's the best fucking Mexican wrestler since Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
fucking good.
Rey Mysterio has entered the chat. What? But anyway,
like you go back and you watch his classics he had with Rey on SmackDown and Raw. It's like he's such a natural fucking talent. How has this man not held a world title?
I'll do you one better. The match where he won the NXT Championship from Drew McIntyre in 2017. His match with Johnny Gargano in Philadelphia was a fucking awesome match. His match with Malachi Black in New Orleans. Oh, yeah. All great matches in his NXT title reign. And just judging from those 3 matches alone, I think he's going to be in good hands when he goes back to the Fed. Hunter's going to take good care of him. Mark my words. But
if shit works out in our favor, we could be seeing like Cody Rhodes' first title feud with Andrade.
Oh man,
I think that'd be fucking sick.
Those would be great matches too, wouldn't they?
They would be.
Oh my word.
When it comes to this match, 3.25. It was at 3. I'll give it a 3. It was fine.
Yeah.
I just feel like Andrade knew this was going to be his last match. He was a professional and he did the honors, as you should. But this was just, the booking was convoluted and it was an all right match. Again, these guys got 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to go
like there was no heat.
I'm going to go 3.25 as well for me. I think if Andrade wasn't leaving AEW, we would have gotten a much better match, because I know with how talented him and Miro both are, we definitely would have gotten probably a 4-star match out of both of them under different circumstances. But yeah, props to Andrade for being an honorable professional and doing the job for Miro and putting over the Redeemer on his way out. Now, let's give Miro a great 2024. Let's put him on TV every week. Let's give him a fucking AEW World title shot at some point, please. Because, you can't fumble Miro. You cannot, You can't do
fumble Miro unless you purposely do it.
Yeah. But in any regard, we're talking about championships. It's fitting enough that we have this next match.
Here's a storyline I actually like in AEW. Timeless Toni Storm is defending the AEW Women's Championship against Riho. Riho, who returned after taking some time off. Wow. After taking some time off, she was attacked by the Outcast, and she is back for revenge. I like the continuity there. I like the consistency. I like how Riho is back, not only to get revenge on Toni Storm, but to win the Women's Championship. And I think this was a very good first feud for Timeless Toni Storm, since winning the women's title instead of running it back with Hikaru Shida, instead of doing something like drastically different. I like, because I think Toni Storm is probably the most consistently booked woman in AEW right now, and that is because she has the best gimmick. She has the best gimmick in AEW right now.
I told Tomas this, but Timeless Toni Storm is AEW's best original gimmick since Orange Cassidy. And even then, Orange Cassidy wasn't even an original gimmick. He was doing that shtick on the indies before that.
Wouldn't even go as far as saying it's AEW's. This was Toni Storm's idea.
It was.
She really renovated herself with this. And it's, it's crazy. You look at a gimmick like this. You look at a gimmick like Broken Matt Hardy. You look at a gimmick like, I don't know, like something very simple like LA Knight. And you look at that gimmick and you just think, why did nobody else think of that? And we've gushed about Toni Storm before, how she's adopted this, kind of psychotic Marilyn Monroe gimmick where she really believes the part. She really believes she is an old-time Hollywood movie star, and she just plays the part to a T. She got a butler. And, Luther has worn many hats in AEW, but I think this is his best gimmick. This is his best gimmick today.
As Toni Storm's muscle. It's fucking awesome. But Toni Storm, I can't liken her to mid-90s Goldust right now, just because Goldust was also a deranged movie star character in the mid-90s, but Toni Storm is like, this is so like unique and so captivating and so out there. I love everything she's doing.
Yeah, I think the difference between her and Goldust is that Goldust was a movie buff. Goldust liked to sit in the director's chair. He wanted to like make his own movies. I'm sure you missed when he used to quote old movies.
Oh yeah.
But Toni Storm, she believes she is the character that she is. She believes she's living in the 50s. She believes, you know, the world is in black and white. And I love the little touches, like her entrance being in black and white. I like how the match graphic always has her in black and white. I like that she truly believes this part.
And even a step further, during the match, the camera filter will change to the old-time grainy film look when you do Toni Storm and her close-up. Like, it's awesome.
It is great. One thing, you talk about, Luther being the heavy, but I feel like Luther has been very innovative in his interference. Like, him and Toni Storm have been doing this thing where Storm will climb on Luther's shoulders, and then he'll, like, guide her into a clothesline on the apron to Riho. And I love the commentators' reaction. They said, like, well, Luther didn't put his hands on Riho.
No.
And I was like, you're right. That is an excellent loophole.
It's
Luther
not a...
He's getting involved. He's just, he's helping out.
It's not a disqualification at all, but there is a point where Luther pushes... so Toni Storm has Riho in a Texas cloverleaf. Riho reaches the ropes, and Luther is grabbing the ropes and pulling it out of Riho's hands after the rope break was already called by the official. And Rick Knox sees this, ejects Luther from ringside, and the crowd fucking hates it. The crowd hates it because they love Toni Storm and they love Luther. Yeah, Luther is good for Luther, man. But all due respect to Riho, I'm just gonna say this: Riho is great, but as much as this storyline makes sense, the continuity of the storyline is there. But with how over timeless Toni Storm is, and with this being her first defense after winning it at Full Gear, absolutely no way she was losing to Riho here. Absolutely no chance. So there was a bit of predictability here. But the match itself was pretty good. Definitely got more interesting towards the end, I would say. Definitely.
I think the build was better than the match, and I think the storytelling in the match was fine. They only got 12 minutes. If they would have given them like maybe a few more minutes just to, cook a little longer. And you bring up a really good point with how over the Toni Storm gimmick is, and there's only two possibilities I see. Number one, you're gonna have to get a really fucking over baby face. I don't know, maybe a returning Thunder Rosa. If AEW can get their hands on Mercedes Moné, it's gonna take somebody like on a level of Mercedes Moné to get the crowd to not cheer Toni Storm. Either that, or we've seen it before with Sami Zayn. We've seen it before with Broken Matt Hardy. They're gonna have to turn her face.
At some point. Not right now, though. Toni, here's a nitpick I have. Riho does kick out of Toni Storm's finisher, the Storm Zero. And Toni Storm beats her with a DDT, like any other normal move. It's not her finish. She should have beat her with a Storm Zero. If I'm really
100%.
You can't really make her finishing maneuver look weak. But
when every single match in AEW has a kick out of a finisher, that's when you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like AEW's version of a swerve, a WCW swerve. And no, we're not talking about the cool kind of swerve.
Yeah.
We all know in WCW, Vince Russo liked to swerve everybody. And he wasn't swerving while he was driving.
He liked to Strickland everybody?
Damn you. There always had to be a referee bump. There had to be interference. There had to be a double turn in every single match to the point where you just got numb a bit. AEW likes to kick out of finishers.
They do. Yeah, it gets a little grating after a while. I mean, it got annoying 6 years ago when you have Roman Reigns kick out of 6 F5s in one match, But anyway, Toni Storm retains. Was there any doubt? And she does get her celebration, and she's like, lying around on the floor doing snow angels in the rose petals that are falling down from her biggest fan, Mariah May. Yeah. Mariah May.
One thing I really enjoy. I like how every time Toni Storm wins a match, she acts like she won the Academy Award for Best Actress.
Mm-hmm. And not just winning the Academy Award for Best Actress. It's almost as if an actress from the 1930s, like a Judy Garland, won Best Actress, and it's
amazing. And I love how that's her reaction after she wins every single match.
I'm just waiting on Mariah May to bring out champagne instead of rose petals. At some point.
I'm gonna give the match 2 3/4. I wish it would have went a little longer, and I wish there was, a little more to this match, a little more substance. But Toni Storm's rolling. Do not take this title off for anytime soon.
No.
Just keep the ball rolling. Keep the ball rolling.
Soonest to Double or Nothing, and even then, I think that might be too soon. But
I am very mad that you get to introduce this next match.
Oh, yeah, here we go. I'll let you have the floor for a second after this. So, up next, you got Swerve Strickland, the guy in AEW, in my personal opinion, taking on the natural Dustin Rhodes. How do we get here? Swerve Strickland was supposed to finally have his blow-off match and his breakup match with Limitless Keith Lee, right? As Tomas is fidgeting with a yo-yo right now to keep his composure. So, Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee was supposed to be the match for World's End, which I think is great. As a Keith Lee fan especially, I love seeing Keith Lee on pay-per-view. Is it too late to do this match? 100%. They should have done it right after they lost the belts to the Acclaimed. That's when they should have done it. So, how we get Dustin Rhodes in the equation is, it's a very unfortunate circumstance, but Keith Lee apparently got injured. I hope he's feeling better. I hope he's okay. Like, the humanitarian in me hopes to see Keith Lee in the ring again sooner rather than later. But in this case, you probably shouldn't even do the match, because what you get is Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee's random-ass tag team partner, Dustin Rhodes. And Dustin Rhodes is a grandfather, might I remind you. Dustin Rhodes just very recently became a grandfather. And you have this. Tomas, take the floor.
That was a nice version.
Yeah. I try to find the positives in things before we fucking bash the hell out of it. As a critic, I'm honest, but I always try to find the positives first. But here we go.
Fucking lose it.
Here we go.
None of this is Keith Lee's fault.
No.
Just want to say that now.
Absolutely not.
You do not have a fucking storyline where a tag team partner turns on another one, and then you never, ever, ever have the blow off. And then a year later, after Swerve Strickland has outgrown that feud and is having Texas death matches where Hangman Adam Page is drinking his blood and he is the most over wrestler in AEW right now, you do not just randomly decide, oh, let's finally have the match. After what build? After Keith Lee, after not wrestling for 8 weeks straight, just comes on screen? Oh yeah, I want to fight Swerve Strickland now.
Yeah, I'm going to come out and cost him the Continental Classic.
What kind of fucking logic does that make?
This match is a year past its expiration date.
It is cold. It is ice cold. It is colder than the freezer for ice cream that's chilling in the back of my freezer right now.
Fucking hell. He's going off here. This might be this honestly, those of you who have seen like our 100 some odd podcasts at this point, this might be the most rage that you're going to see my friend Tomas go through here. But
how hard is it after Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland broke up?
Yeah.
How hard is it to book a fucking match 1 month later on Dynamite? Or fine, you want to drag out the next pay-per-view. But no, you know what they do? They have Swerve Strickland crush Keith Lee's, what was it, his wrist? In a cinder block.
I don't even remember, dude.
Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley back in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep Keith Lee off TV for weeks. And then when he comes back, what does he do? He starts teaming with fucking Dustin Rhodes.
He just ignores Swerve and ignores everything that happened to him. Doesn't, like, go for revenge that Swerve injured him. I mean, like...
Imagine if Triple H pedigreed Shawn Michaels and then absolutely bloodied him to death in the parking lot the way he did. And then the match at SummerSlam just never happened. And then Shawn Michaels came back a few months later and he started teaming with Booker T. Or better yet, Goldust.
Better yet, Goldust, yeah. And Shawn just decides, yeah, you know what? Maybe at Royal Rumble 2004, yeah, I'm going to challenge Triple H for the world title. Doesn't even win a number one contenders match. He's just given the match by Eric Bischoff for God knows what reason. Shawn didn't do a damn thing to earn it. Like,
how the fuck do you fuck up Keith Lee?
Vince McMahon screwed up Keith Lee. Tony Khan screwed up Keith Lee. I mean, you're sensing a pattern here. Triple H seems to be the only person with a logical, creative brain on his head. Like,
I remember when Keith Lee held up the NXT and the NXT North American Championships over his head.
At the same time.
At the same time. I remember when Keith Lee got endorsement from the head of the table. I remember when Keith Lee came face-to-face with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble. I remember Keith Lee pinning Randy Orton clean as a fucking whistle 2 weeks into his main roster debut. I'm not saying WWE didn't fumble on him. I'm not saying that at all, because they did. You know, they had something going, and then Keith Lee got COVID, and that threw everything off. And when he came back, they gave him the fucking shitty Bearcat gimmick, and then they released it. I'm not saying WWE didn't fumble Keith Lee, because they did. But still, the build he had in NXT and the endorsement he got on the main roster was a million times better than what they're fucking doing with him in AEW. Because I get it. He arrived on the scene. There was a huge crop of stars. They put him in a tag team with Swerve Strickland. It was good for the temporary being, but after they had the breakup, it's not that hard to have that blow off. Either make Swerve Strickland the biggest heel in the company by having him beat Keith Lee, or you give Keith Lee the rub and have him win, and then Keith Lee is on to big and better things. But no, it was cold. And I get it. Keith Lee's going through some shit. I get it. There's probably some unknown, like, components of the story that I'm not aware of, and I am sorry if I'm coming off as insensitive, but that still doesn't explain the initial breakup and why they didn't have the match just there.
Man. I mean, speaking of matches, how do you sum up this match? Swerve Strickland makes his entrance.
I know how to sum up this match.
Go ahead.
If what I'm hearing is true, man, poor Walter.
What?
No, when they changed Walter's name to Gunta, Keith Lee tweeted out, if what I'm hearing is true.
Oh, no.
And every time something bad happens to Keith Lee, booking-wise, people just flash up that tweet.
Man, poor Walter.
When Gunter does something fucking amazing on Raw, they just flash up that, if what I'm hearing is true, poor Walter.
Oh, the irony here. And here Gunther is ready to go into a feud with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, if I'm booking it. But in any case, Swerve Strickland makes his entrance. Prince Nana is the fucking man. He's doing the Swerve When I Drive dance, and the whole crowd is doing it. Swerve Strickland is walking out. And I said this to Tomas. With how Swerve is presenting himself and his whole aura and his swagger, he reminds me so much of Roman Reigns right now. And I'm not shitting you when I say this. Just look at how composed Swerve is when he makes his way out there. Like, this guy, like, by the end of 2024, I'm predicting that Swerve is the AEW World Champion. Like, he is that fucking over. And he is that fucking guy. But when you put him in a 7-minute match with Dustin Rhodes that has no heat whatsoever, yeah, of course you're going to kill his momentum for a bit. Because Dustin Rhodes comes out, he makes his entrance. You know, it's his same entrance that he had day one when he wrestled his brother at Double or Nothing. Swerve attacks him before the bell. He plants Dustin's ankle into the cinder block, just like he did with Keith Lee with his wrist. Dustin is being helped to the back, and that should have been it. That should have been it. They should have helped the grandfather to the back, and they should have let him heal, let him have time off. Swerve doesn't need to have a match.
You know what?
You don't need to kill his aura.
This whole thing.
All right.
You don't
Go
have
ahead.
a match. Swerve Strickland comes out and cuts a promo. I don't know, calls Keith Lee a pussy, says that, oh, he cowered out of our match and all this stuff. And then Dustin hits the ring.
Perfect.
Dustin dresses down Swerve Strickland and says, like, you're nothing but an asshole. You just use people, all this stuff. And then Swerve Strickland just fucking annihilates Dustin right there. If the whole goal was just to give Swerve Strickland more heat, that's how you do it. You don't waste our time with this match.
Yeah. If anything,
this was the most pointless match I've ever seen in my life.
If the one thing I learned about this match, if I was watching this in a vacuum, man, Dustin Rhodes is a fucking warrior from coming back. I shouldn't even be feeling that. Swerve Strickland should be the guy. Dustin Rhodes' time, all due respect, he should be a Hall of Famer one day, but it is Swerve's time. You know?
Do you remember when Bray Wyatt fought Dustin Rhodes on Raw?
Oh, I do.
I do. Yeah.
That was really cool. We were in the crowd for that. We were in the crowd for that match.
Different, and that's why I referenced it, because we were there. That was different because it was the build to the Finn Balor match, and Dustin felt like he needed to prove himself. And you remember in that promo he said, I'm not going out there as Goldust. I'm going out there as Dustin. And he got us really behind him, and then he fell to Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
That was a one-time thing, and that was still booked better than whatever the fuck this was. Because this just none of this made any sense. And then they have a match. But here's what pisses me off more than anything. I could have forgiven everything I just said. I could have forgiven that if Dustin would have fucking sold the ankle.
Yeah, he didn't sell the ankle though, did he? He makes a comeback. He hits Swerve with his little brother's finisher, the Crossroads. Almost pins Swerve. There is a near fall. And yeah, basically Swerve hits the house call from the top rope, and he pins Dustin in 7 minutes in a match that should have only gone 1. Like,
and here's the thing.
Fuck this
5
match.
minutes out of this 10-minute match, 5 minutes into this 10-minute match, Dustin just, no, my ankle's fine. It didn't just get crushed by a cinder block.
How long has Dustin Rhodes been doing this?
Longer than I've been alive.
He should know way better than to, like, not, like, to... I can't even speak right now. I'm so upset. Honestly, I didn't want to give the match 0 stars because I didn't want to be that guy, but the more and more we talk about this, the more I fucking hate this match and how pointless it was. So...
You know what? I'm going to give this match 0 stars.
Fuck this match, 0 stars. Yeah, absolutely. So...
It didn't need to be there. It
Nope.
didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be... I know shit happens. I know things happen that are out of our control, especially in pro wrestling. But this just didn't make any sense. I paid money for this.
Yeah.
The original match shouldn't have been happening.
Offended.
It's just so frustrating. You know,
Offended.
Swerve Strickland could have been in the finals of the Continental Classic. He could have been doing something else. Or you know what? Again, take a page from Triple H's book. In his pay-per-views, not every single star is featured on every single pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many pay-per-views did we watch in 2022, 2023 where, like, Cody Rhodes wasn't even in? Or Drew McIntyre wasn't even in?
Well, I mean, 2022 is a different story because Cody Rhodes was still rehabbing his torn pec. So,
or you know what I
Dan,
mean, like,
yeah.
Or
well,
like,
Cody,
all the papers, Roman Reigns wasn't in.
Cody Rhodes wasn't on the Elimination Chamber card last year, off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of any other ones that he wasn't on, but Drew McIntyre certainly wasn't on every pay-per-view last year. Roman Reigns 100% was not on every single pay-per-view last year.
No.
Like, you don't
Brock
need
Lesnar, John Cena, the list goes on and on and on. Nakamura, you know, I can say it all day and talk about all the stars that aren't featured on every single pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But, like, do you remember in 2011, when Alberto randomly wrestled Kofi Kingston at Elimination Chamber?
Oh, I remember
Did
that.
that match need to happen? No.
I was there live for that match. It was pretty good, though.
Yeah. That was their opener.
Yeah, it was
an opener.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it in a vacuum, but
Anywho, but the point being, this match shouldn't have happened. It just pissed me off. The first half of this pay-per-view really pissed me off.
Yeah.
And the last 3 matches really saved it from being probably my least favorite show.
Yeah. So, anyway, if one 8-man tag team match in the opener wasn't enough, you get another one. And this one is shrouded in controversy. So,
this is the AEW special.
Mm-hmm.
An awesome multi-man match, and you get one that shouldn't have been on the card.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a motley crew? Take a look at this one. It's Sting, Darby Allin, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara taking on the Don Callis family, which is Konosuke Takeshita, Powerhouse Hobbs, joined in by the AEW Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks, and Big Bill.
Oh, boy.
Because we got here somehow.
Sammy Guevara makes his return after becoming a father. Congratulations to him and Ty Mello, by the way. It's beautiful what I see. But Sammy comes back. Don Callis is trying to coax him back into the family. He's basically kind of giving him, the gift. But this whole face turn for Sammy Guevara, again, you want to talk about unfortunate circumstances. This match was supposed to be Ricky Starks and Big Bill defending the World Tag Team titles against the Golden Jets. But Kenny Omega was unfortunately diagnosed with diverticulitis, and he is off of television for the foreseeable future. Kenny, please get well soon. Beat this thing.
This is probably the greatest blessing in disguise I have ever seen, because they just came off of having the worst segment in AEW history, where I got to quote everybody else. Kenny Omega looked sleepy. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He was dressed in something he probably wears to bed. And he was the definition of going through the motions. It was atrocious. It was awful. It was the cringiest thing I've ever seen. And I was not digging the storyline at all. I don't know why Jericho and Omega were a tag team to begin with. But
just because.
Again, Omega, take all the time you need. I don't care if it's over a year. I know that man has been battling with the worst injuries imaginable. And at this point, I want Kenny Omega to be with us for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, and here's the thing. Here's where I'm going to come to AEW's defense. Because I saw all over, everywhere, people upset, people mad. The last time we saw Sammy Guevara, he turned on Chris Jericho and joined the Don Callis family. Now he's friends with him again. They set up a segment on Dynamite where Don Callis presented the family. And I know we haven't even seen the family on TV for weeks and weeks. That's another story. But Don Callis presented the family with a bunch of paintings for Christmas.
Oh, God, yeah.
Boy, were these paintings racist. You had Don Callis in the hood with Will Hobbs in Oakland, and they're rocking Tupac bandanas.
Fuck this guy.
Don Callis dressed as a samurai with Konosuke Takeshita. And then my personal favorite, Don Callis with Kyle Fletcher beating up kangaroos in Australia.
Why are they beating up MJFs in a field?
And then when Guevara finally makes his return, Callis said, "Don't worry. Look, you decided to finally show up for work. I got a present for you too. It's a picture of Guevara holding his brand new baby boy, surrounded by the Callis family." And Sammy Guevara is not happy. He says, "What the hell is my baby doing in that photo?" He's ready to rip Don's head off his shoulders. And that's when Don Callis just absolutely rips into him, saying like, "Oh, we're your family now, but you decided to leave us." They stick the Don Callis family on Sammy Guevara. Chris Jericho makes a save because you know what? You have fights with your friends. He probably thought it's like, you know what? Guevara's still my boy, so I'm going to go down there and save them. They have the big embracement at the end. I thought they handled that very well with the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I have no issue here.
It's, I don't really have an issue with it either, story-wise. And friends argue all the time, but Jericho, in character, is willing to forgive and forget because life is too short in the character of Chris Jericho's mind to basically hold this grudge against Sammy Guevara forever. So he forgives him. It looks like it's going to be Jericho and Guevara going up against the tag champions and against the family. Sting and Darby Allin join in because Sting is on his retirement tour and he really has nothing to do on this show. But
and he wanted one more match in Nassau Coliseum, apparently.
He did. And
one more time in New York.
First time teaming with Edge at Full Gear, but this pay-per-view, it's his first time teaming with Chris Jericho. No, he teamed with Edge, but oh man,
Edge retired in September.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
speaking of Jericho, life may be too short for him to hold grudges, but not too late for him to decide to become a casting director.
Yeah, fuck Chris Jericho. That's all I'm gonna say.
So, what was it? 2 nights prior to this pay-per-view? Oh no, let's go back to Christmas.
Christmas morning. Yeah, like picture this, everybody. Like, sorry to cut you off, but around the world, people are enjoying their time with their families, opening presents under the tree. You know, like the fireplace is going, people are drinking eggnog, and it's just all goody two-shoes, all Yuletide fun, right? Chris Jericho decides to spend his Christmas morning getting into a Twitter argument with CM Punk's lawyer. Jericho basically was saying, oh yeah, I don't have an NDA. I can talk about this fucking brawl out situation whenever I want to, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to reveal all the details because I'm friends with the Bucks. I'm friends with, he's friends with all these people, I guess. But, and then Punk's lawyer retorts, yeah, and this is not an exact quote. Good to know that you do not sign NDAs. See you in court, buddy. And that was a very interesting response. And then a few days later, there were some allegations coming out that Chris Jericho coerced a former member of the AEW women's locker room towards his hotel room, and she was under the impression that it was going to be a big party. And it was Jericho in there by himself. And to the best of my knowledge, he made a pass at her, and she requested her release from AEW not too long afterwards. And Tony Khan is doing jack shit about Chris Jericho. He's not punishing him. So
no, and that person was one Smiley Kylie Ray, known for her time in AEW and TNA Wrestling and a lot of other independent promotions. I don't know if there were any NDAs on her side, but she didn't outright say it. But she was agreeing to a tweet, and apparently some stories came out. Jericho, buddy, you are in some hot fucking water, and you know what? At your age, you should fucking know better.
And with your status, you should know better. You know, because
I used to think Jericho was one of the good guys. Apparently, I was wrong.
Apparently, I've been wrong this whole time too.
You hate to see one of your childhood heroes outed like this.
Yeah, unfortunate. But Jericho makes his entrance like nothing ever happened. They do the normal thing where they zoom in on some people in the crowd wanting to sing Judas, and there's people who are just silent, and they don't sing Judas really anymore, and it's not as loud as it used to be.
Yeah,
there is
protest.
There is a sign up against the hard cam that said something about an NDA, and I was like, this guy's done. This guy's legacy is done. And the crowd started they booed Chris Jericho. Ricky Starks refused to wrestle Chris Jericho. He flipped him off, and he tagged in Big Bill. Darby Allin was screaming at Chris Jericho during his entrance. Yeah, not good. Not looking good.
Tony Khan, I have a question for you. Are you fucking stupid? It's like, know this man has heat right now with the world, and you're really gonna book him as a babyface and just zoom in on the crowd and pretend like nothing happened. It's time to start taking some accountability.
Yeah.
It's time to start putting your foot down. It's time to start. Do you think Vince McMahon wanted to suspend Roman Reigns back in 2016?
No,
he didn't. But he had to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he wanted to suspend Randy Orton as many times as he did? No, but he had to.
Say what you want. Do you think he wanted to retire last year? No. If all those allegations came out if all those allegations did not come out about Vince McMahon last year, pro wrestling would be a whole different landscape right now, and Vince would be dying in that chair like we all thought.
Do you think he wanted to fire one of his biggest draws in the Ultimate Warrior? No, but he had to. And you wonder why nobody takes this man seriously.
Yeah.
But I didn't think anything of this match. I didn't really like it.
Yeah, I mean, the hatred for Chris Jericho was kind of overtaking everything. Sammy Guevara does have some nice chemistry in there with Ricky Starks, and he has some nice chemistry in there with Takeshita, which, boy, you want to talk about killing someone's momentum. Takeshita was Don Callis' new hired assassin. He was a badass. He beat Kenny Omega
twice.
2 straight pay-per-views in 2 straight weeks. Takeshita pins Kenny Omega clean in the middle of the ring. This guy should be fucking over like Rover.
You have a title that is being held by Orange Cassidy after he held it for over a year, doing nothing. That is right for the picking for Takeshita to be holding.
Why not?
Why aren't you doing anything, Tony Khan? That's my thing. That's like my biggest. Why aren't you doing anything with these guys?
He's starting to become a lot more like Vince McMahon by the day. I'm starting to get that impression, but I hate to say it, but
Tony Khan is basically the definition of this is what happens when a fan gets the book and has over $1 million.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
It is what happens.
Again, we could spend a whole podcast talking about how Tony Khan can improve AEW. But this ain't it. Yeah, you kill Powerhouse Hobbs, poor guy. This is like the 5th faction he's been in. Let him be a killer. Let Takeshita be a killer.
And he is on a team with his former Team Taz stablemate and Ricky Starks, and they don't really allude to that at all. Taz does not make any mention, like barely noticeable, but what can you do? Ricky Starks in a random ass tag team with Big Bill for whatever reason, who I have never understood the appeal of.
Here's another one for you. You talk about Starks and Guevara having good chemistry, trying to like bring the negativity away from, the stigma of the match. Why the most wholesome wrestler on the planet in history? Why does Sting always get put in these awkward situations?
On his retirement tour!
Sting should be enjoying the fruits of his labor. But this poor man in the past 15 years has had to wrestle drunk as a skunk Jeff Hardy at the main event of a pay-per-view. He's having his retirement overshadowed by the fucking imbecile that is Ric Flair. And now he has all this controversy in the final match in New York. If I was Sting, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but none of this is Sting's fault at all.
No.
Bless that man's heart. I mean, at this point, if I were Sting, I would accept nothing less than my retirement match going on last at Revolution in Greensboro. I don't know if that's going to happen. That might be a far-fetched ask, but don't put that possibility out of the question yet. So, Sammy hits the GTH and a shooting star press on Starks and he pins him. I think at least the right person got the pin in this situation because Sammy is, just came back, just turned babyface again. I know I said at Full Gear that Darby should have gotten the pin instead of Sting or Edge because Darby was going to go climb Mount fucking Everest. But I guess in this case, I don't know when this lad's final match is before he starts training. Like, at this point, is he sticking around until Sting's retirement? And is he postponing the climb, or is he just not climbing at all? Like,
probably my favorite spot in the match was Bill and Hobbs.
Oh, I forgot about this. About this.
When you were a kid and you were fucking around with your mates, and one of them grabs your arms and the other grabs your legs, and they basically like Red Rover you into a swimming pool or onto a trampoline. So Powerhouse Hobbs and Big Bill do that to Darby Allin, but they fucking, in the great words of Jey Uso, yeet this poor kid all the way across the fucking ring, and this guy lands in the worst way possible.
Almost breaks his fucking neck.
At that spot.
Almost breaks his fucking neck. They almost killed him right there. Like,
say what you want about Darby Allin, but I love the dedication and creativity he has to every pay-per-view. Like, what's a new way I could fuck myself up?
Nobody else has the balls that Darby Allin has. That man has no fear.
Again, if Darby Allin ever made his way to WWE, I guarantee he would request a match with Brock Lesnar night one.
Yeah.
I envision Brock Lesnar F5ing him over the top rope to the floor.
I envision him asking for an Intercontinental title match with Gunther night one.
He would Gunther a powerbomb from the ring to the floor.
Yeah, he would take a chop to the face. He would take a chop everywhere, and Gunther would probably flatten him like a pancake. But anyway,
this man, he's a masochist. He's crazy.
Darby, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? But
I love this crazy. I love Sting's son.
If it, Sting's son that was at the Kia Forum sitting front row. Yeah, I love him too. Yeah.
No, I love Sting's son, Darby Allin.
Darby Allin is not his.
I can't wait till after Revolution where Sting grabs his stuff and says, "Don't ever talk to me or my son ever again."
I'm gonna take my son into retirement with me. And
no, he's gonna go off to climb Mount Everest, and Sting's gonna say, "Don't talk to me or my son ever again."
Sting's gonna go with him, but yeah, this was painfully average. It was shrouded by controversy, but
it was
2.5. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, what a distinction for this to be Sting's second to last pay-per-view match ever. What a distinction.
Maybe they'll let Sting have a one-on-one. Please please pick the least controversial opponent. I don't care if he goes out there with fucking Colt Cabana. Just let this man retire in peace.
Just as long as it's not Ric Flair. But anyway, up next, you have the TBS Championship on the line. Julia Hart, representing the House of Black, going up against Abaddon. I was so excited to see Abaddon. Exactly, Abaddon, get this opportunity. This is a character I have likened to being the female version of The Fiend because of how fucking... I know what
you're talking about. You're talking about the girl that got a title shot 4 years ago. We haven't seen her since?
Yep, we haven't seen her since. I guess she's been under AEW contract this whole time. I guess they just wanted to get the "This is Spooky" chants out of the Nassau Coliseum, which I did. I did laugh at the "This is Spooky" chants. That was funny. I dig that. But
you just compared her to the Fiend. Imagine having a gimmick like that, and you don't know what to do with it.
Only Tony Khan doesn't know what to do with it.
At least the Fiend is a two-time Universal Champion.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Fiend main evented pay-per-views.
I mean, the
Fiend had the creativity to do what he did at John Cena at WrestleMania.
And you have no idea how upset that makes me. Because I wanted Abaddon to succeed in this promotion so much. It's not her fault. It's not her fault at all.
No.
But
no.
Anyway.
So they have this, again, another collision exclusive feud where if you're not watching Collision, good luck figuring out what the fuck's going on in this feud. But all I can gather from this is that apparently Abaddon won a 4-way match to get this title shot. And they're kind of doing a good job of building her up. But here's the thing. So the House of Black has this gimmick called House Rules, where basically, whether it be Julia, whether it be the House of Black, they let their opponent decide on the stipulation. And we saw when the Acclaim did this, would they pick a no-holds-barred match?
Mm-hmm.
Abaddon could have done anything. She could have flipped the script and been like, you know what? I want a ladder match. She could have flipped the script and said, you know what? I want falls count anywhere. What's the stipulation Abaddon picks? In this match, fighting is legal. So,
oh man, yeah, that brawl out fiasco would have really benefited from these house rules, that's for sure. Ace Steel would have been given a raise in this case.
You think Ace Steel got the turkey leg on Thanksgiving this year?
Oh, I don't know, man.
Took a big bite out of that thing.
Nor do I care. Nor do I care about Ace Steel. But hey, if those of you who are new to the ZNT wrestling show and think that we're just making stupid jokes for the hell of it, good. Welcome to the show. Let's have fun. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna make some revelation, like, no, we're a very intelligent. Like, no, if you think we're making stupid jokes, well, then you're right, we are.
Well, yeah. No, what do you think we've been doing the last 4 years here? I mean, obviously, this has been very intelligent conversations that we've been having, but obviously, we're here to have fun and we're here to joke, you know. So
we're having serious conversations like Sting and Daniel Garcia and.
Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee.
Yeah. But anywho, I mean,
this match did not need to go 12 minutes. But Julia Hart hits.
I like the three-way from what was Wrestle Dream?
Full Gear. One of the two. I don't know.
This one.
Yeah, and
Julia won the title.
Mm-hmm. God bless Julia's heart. Sky Blue runs interference, of course, because I guess there's a female House of Black stable and a female House of Black extension. Cool. I don't know, but Julia Hart hits a very sloppy-looking moonsault and pins Abaddon off of that. I don't know. 2 stars? 2.25? I don't know. Match went too long.
Hold on a second. As I stepped away to take care of something real quick, hold on. That fucking moonsault was the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
What the hell was that?
Yeah, that was
Julia landed on her feet and then just dropped onto Abaddon. I hated it. That was probably one of the worst finishes of the night.
Yeah.
I hated it.
You don't say. But
if anything, she could have done anything else. She could have done a roll-up. I would have been fine with that, but this moonsault was bad.
This really was
bad. It was worse than Charlotte Flair's.
This really was not all that interesting, was it?
No. I'll give it 2.25 for effort. It was cool to see Abaddon. You won't see her again, though. See you in another 2 years, I guess.
Yeah. But up next, oh man, you can sense that this pay-per-view has been very disappointing and easily AEW's worst of the year. But thankfully,
here to fucking pick it up.
The next 3 matches that we're about to be talking about saves this pay-per-view from being an utter disaster. What do we got next, Tomas?
For the TNT title, it is a no disqualification match. It is the match you could say is 20 plus years in the making, even though we've had it in little spurts here and there. The Rated R superstar Adam Copeland finally gets his hands on Christian Cage. You know what? This has been such an up and down controversial feud ever since Adam Copeland made his debut. We all know my feelings about how I feel about Adam Copeland in AEW. It just
do tell
to me.
No, do tell.
It just doesn't feel right to me. But looking at it on hindsight, I think Christian Cage is the only first opponent for Copeland going into this thing, because if Copeland wants to get his feet wet with this new talent, I don't think it would be right to just throw him in there with a brand new guy like a Ricky Starks, like someone totally different from his style, like a I don't know, an Adam. No, I don't want to say Adam Cole, like a Kenny Omega or something like that, or someone who's just not ready for that caliber or level of a star.
And MJF.
The safe route to go. Yeah, exactly. It's like when Adam Copeland returned to WWE, they put him in there with Randy Orton because he's known Randy Orton for all these years instead of putting him in there with the guy he's not that familiar with. It's good to have a first safe feud before going into all the new stuff.
It's good to not put him in there with Samoa Joe right away, because Samoa Joe would have probably killed him in 5 seconds, Yeah,
and it's you don't want to send Copeland into uncharted territory, because there have been some bumps on the road. Like there was a segment, I guess, Copeland botched with Starks, and it generated a tiny itty bitty, I don't even call it heat, warmth backstage, but it got smoothed out pretty quickly. Again, you got to remember, Copeland has been under the WWE umbrella for 20 plus years. This is uncharted territory for him, because he might, he's got his baby legs in this company.
Yeah.
I'm willing to forgive that.
Yeah. This storyline, aside from the MJF Adam Cole, the Devil saga, which has all been really compelling television for me, this is my favorite AEW storyline right here. The Christian Edge saga. Christian telling Edge to go fuck himself after they embrace in the middle of the ring. Edge telling Christian to go fuck himself before he makes his intentions for the TNT title known. The swerve of all swerves when Mama Wayne actually nails Edge with the TNT championship and joins up with Christian, because
it's
I guess Christian slid into those DMs because he's being a great father figure for her son Nick. So I mean,
the promo where Christian Cage said, Adam, we've grown up together. I know you didn't grow up with your father. And it's the audible gasp. I was like, oh, fuck, he's going to go there. He's going to fucking go there.
Of course. Because what kind of feud is Christian Cage in if he doesn't mention that somebody doesn't have their father?
It's like, damn well that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are sitting backstage, giddy as schoolgirls, coming up with ideas for this feud.
Yes. Yeah, they 100% are. And you can tell that they were definitely excited. It was...
Now, let me say this now. This match was good. This was match of the night.
Yes.
It wasn't perfect, and I do think they were, I don't know, maybe AEW was patting themselves a little too much on the back with this one because Adam Copeland wore the same exact gear he wore on WrestleMania 22 when he fought Mick Foley in the iconic hardcore match that we're going to talk about soon enough. I'm not just assuming this. They said it on commentary that it was the same exact gear.
Adam Copeland didn't wear that at WrestleMania 22. Edge did.
I'm just repeating what the commentator said.
Well, I mean, if we're being historically accurate, Edge wore that, not Adam Copeland. But Adam Copeland, for some reason, wears Edge's WrestleMania 22 gear.
Well, you know what? You need to read his book, Adam Copeland on Edge.
I do need to read that, don't I? That's the one that Kurt Angle trashed on that Survivor Series card, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to go and read that. But in any case,
the greatest title for a book ever, by the way.
Yeah,
Adam Copeland on Edge. It's a double meaning. I love it.
Piggybacking off of what Tomas said, this was my match of the night as well. It was very entertaining. The crowd definitely wanted tables early. I loved the TLC chant that the crowd put in there because, you know, these two pioneered the tables, ladders, and chairs gimmick in WWE. And there are callbacks to all three of those weapons. Christian goes for a concerto early on. Edge dodges it, and he does the gimmick where he does the crossface with, like, the little... what was it? It was like the little steel bar that comes off the bottom of the chair.
The gimmick he adopted in WWE during his feuds with Roman Reigns and Bryan Danielson.
Yes, yeah. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome" already. The crowd, there's crowd brawling in here. Nick Wayne follows them up all the way into the 100 section. And
why is nobody talking about how good of a fucking storyteller Adam Copeland is?
Well, I mean, that's a given. That's a given. We've known that he's a great storyteller. You know? Like,
it's just, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
Ever since the beginning. And Edge is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So, it's so cool to, like, you know, see him.
That's what sold me on this match, was how excellent the storytelling was.
Mm-hmm. It really was. And all the callbacks and all the nostalgia that was brought into the play and how it plays into the new story that we have. And that's another thing. You can have nostalgia, but you can't overly rely on nostalgia to help sell a match. You gotta make it personal. And this match, thankfully, was not centered around the callbacks and the nostalgia. The callbacks are great. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of callbacks throughout these guys' friendship. But, I mean, it's still a brand new, fresh story between Edge and Christian that's being told in almost God tier 2024, when both men are around the age of 50 years old, born about a month apart in the same part of Canada. They grew up as best friends. You know, you gotta add a new layer to the story because we've seen these guys. We know these guys, and
they never got to have the blood feud that they should have had. It's like when Matt and Jeff had that pathetic excuse for a feud in 2001, but then they finally got to run it back in 2009 proper.
Yeah, well, Edge and Christian sort of had a blood feud in 2001 during the Invasion angle, but I mean...
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, past that, though, they never really circled back to it. There was always callbacks. There was always interactions. I recall in 2010, Edge and Christian had an excellent match on Monday Night Raw. It was a pick your poison match where Randy Orton picked Christian Cage to fight Edge. You know, that's the closest we ever got to, though. This is the first time these two have, like, had a proper blood feud with all of this experience under their belt now.
At the main event level, you know, even though this match is third to last. But this is definitely one of the matches that the crowd was the most awake for. They were wanting tables, and if I'm nitpicking anything about this, I wish the babyface was the one to pull out the table, because if Christian wanted to get maximum heat instead of talking about dead fathers, the crowd is wanting tables. Don't give them tables.
No,
do not pull the table out.
Not.
You know, like, let Nick Wayne do that. Nick Wayne has a long way to go, but it's,
and we'll get to Nick Wayne in a minute. Also, very, very, very risky that these two are teasing concertos when you got a guy with a broken neck and a guy with a serious history of concussions.
Yeah, and they're teasing the steel stair spot that Christian was doing on Edge in the build up to this. Edge wanted to do it to Christian on the steel steps. Christian thankfully moves out of the way. You hear a loud bang. Christian is successful in bashing Adam Copeland's head into the top of the steps, and Copeland has this gigantic, not a Calazian, but it's like this gigantic like knot above his eye.
Knot on his eyebrow.
Oh,
it was ugly.
Yeah,
very, very, very ugly.
He was cut hard way. They bled in this match. You know
what? I think Finn Balor vicariously got his receipt on Adam Copeland after what happened at WrestleMania this past year.
Finn Balor is living vicariously through Christian Cage right now in character.
Yeah.
But so you mentioned Copeland wearing Edge's WrestleMania 22 attire. So there's going to be callbacks to the Foley match. They pull out the tables. And, before that, they pull out the ladder, and there's actually, I don't know if this was intentional, but it reminded me of one of my favorite Edge matches of all time, the no disqualification match with Eddie Guerrero on that SmackDown episode in 2002, where Eddie hits this gnarly sunset flip off the top of the ladder. Christian does the same thing to Edge. Edge introduces the ladder. Chris' last rule basically dictates that he's the one taking the punishment with the ladder, and lo and behold, there it is. Big sunset flip. But Christian.
Again, very risky coming from two guys with broken necks.
Yes. So Christian and his son Nick Wayne pull out a table from underneath the ring. And there is lighter fluid directly behind the steel steps.
Yeah. This is where the match starts getting a little messy.
I mean, not to say that it was the wrestler's fault, because it's not like they totally botched it, it was just pure physics and science that was playing against them here. So they pull out lighter fluid, and if you've ever seen the Mick Foley Edge hardcore match from Mania 22, you know exactly where this is going. Christian and Nick Wayne start lightly grazing the table with this lighter fluid. Nick Wayne pulls out the fire, he sets the table ablaze, and poof, the fire immediately goes out as Edge is going to spear Christian through the table.
So Copeland goes back to the table, and I'm not kidding, empties this whole fucking bottle of lighter fluid.
God.
Copeland is cursing in his mind right now. I was like, fucking stay on fire. I've done this before. Why aren't you working?
He makes sure to cover every square inch of this table to make sure it's ablaze for this spot.
Editor's note, I love how Lindsay was questioning the science of the table being lit the entire time. I love that I got to explain that to her in the best way that I possibly could.
Lindsay, if you're watching this, I love you. But anyway, Edge lights the table on fire, and Nick Wayne finds himself on the apron, and he takes a fucking powerbomb through the fire. And I don't think he was just selling it. Yeah, kinda. The table does not break.
No, I think Copeland overshot it. But props to Wayne for being willing to take the spot. It did not look as clean and as pretty as I thought it would. You could tell AEW was looking for an oh my god moment. They were looking for a highlight reel moment, but it just unfortunately it didn't go the way they wanted it to. And again, I don't want to bury the lead too much because we are going to be talking about this in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
That when Edge and Foley do it, that is one of the most iconic moments of my childhood.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to WrestleMania 22. But may I remind you folks that Nick Wayne this year on July 10th only will turn 19 years old. This kid,
he doesn't need lighting himself on fire.
No, not yet. His mother was very worried at ringside for her son, not going to console him or help him because
she'd be my mother.
I mean, yeah. Naturally, she just watches her son just like convulse on the ground, in horror. All as Edge tells Christian to go fuck himself one more time, as he nails Christian with his own finishing move, the kill switch, and he pins Christian off of it. And I was in the room when it happened. Tomas marked out when that 3 count hit. He was like, "Whoa, what? Edge actually won?"
Think Copeland was going to get the clean win in
he
a
did.
25-minute match on the dot. I'm going to save my rating for this because this is not done.
No.
Not by a long shot.
Not yet.
So after Copeland wins the title, kill switch hits the ring, and I'm not talking about the finisher, I'm talking about the big dinosaur himself. He lays out Adam Copeland with the choke slam, and this is where the storytelling really kicked into a new gear because he has his contract, the one that he just won in the Battle Royal, to get a TNT title shot, and Copeland is ripe for the picking. Killswitch can reclaim, he can win the TNT title right here, but no, Christian Cage goes up to Killswitch and says, give me the contract. Let me win back the title. And the look, oh my God, I'm going to give Killswitch all the credit here because he was showing a range of emotions I've never seen from Luchasaurus.
I thought Luchasaurus was going to turn on Christian right there. I really thought it was going to happen.
He looks at Cage. He looks at the crowd. He looks back down at the contract. He's so conflicted. He doesn't know what to do, but reluctantly so, he hands over the contract to Christian Cage. He hands it to the referee. The bell rings. 10 seconds later, Cage pins Copeland and regains the TNT title.
Yeah, so he never lost it. Copeland was never the champion, but anyway. Also,
was champion for all of 3 minutes?
I don't know if you noticed this detail, but after this cash-in, Christian, in retaliation for Edge pinning him with the kill switch, Christian decides to hit Edge with Edge's finisher, the spear. And then Christian, once again, is the TNT champion. Excalibur very solemnly on commentary as the heels go up triumphant and they go back to the locker room. Excalibur very solemnly says that Adam Copeland holds the distinction of being the shortest reigning TNT champion of all time. Adam Copeland wins his
first singles title.
His first
2011.
Yeah,
only held it for a couple minutes.
And I love that this match was actually for the TNT title because the TNT championship has felt so unimportant being hot potatoed around for as long as it has. But with Christian holding this thing and then Edge making his return and laying his claim to the TNT title, that title has not felt this important since Mr. Brody Lee held it. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. So I'm going to
agree with you.
I'm going to give credit to AEW. I'm going to give credit to Tony Khan. I'm going to give credit to Christian and Edge where it's due. This is a great story. It's a great match. I'm going to go 4.25 stars. It was a little bit clunky towards the end, but really enjoyed it. Match of the night.
Hell, the whole segment from Copeland and Christian Cage to the cash into the rematch, all of that wrapped in one, 4.5 stars. The storytelling was impeccable here. Every player, played their part very well when it came down to Nick and Mother Wayne. And, again, the character development of Killswitch. You love to see it.
Yes.
We're in an era of storylines and character development and, seeing a range of emotions. And, in that one segment, I have seen more emotion from Luchasaurus than I have since he started in AEW.
And
since AEW's inception.
That right there is the exception to the lack of long-term booking, because I feel like we are definitely going to get Christian Cage versus Luchasaurus down the line, but they're holding off on it for right now. I'm actually kind of glad that Killswitch, Luchasaurus, whatever you want to call him, I'm glad that he didn't turn on Christian in the moment, because...
No, not then. They need to drag this out as much as possible, They need to do with Killswitch what they should have did with Wardlow.
Yeah.
Because I've been so high on Luchasaurus since AEW's inception.
Me too.
We were comparing him to Kane.
Big
fucking deal.
But
so,
yeah.
Again, this was the best part of the show. This whole thing. And that's crazy considering I've been very iffy on Adam Copeland. Again, I just hope he's happy. I hope the moments continue, and I hope, this all works out for him.
Yes.
If there's anyone that deserves it, it's him.
Keep Adam Copeland in meaningful stories. Don't make him just another guy on the roster. Don't put him in matches with Griff Garrison on Collision. Just put him in meaningful stuff. Don't waste Edge's time.
It's so shitty because Tony Khan obviously saw Edge endorse Grayson Waller on SmackDown before he left, and he thought he could just recreate magic there. The difference is that Grayson Waller has talent. And I feel like Copeland's comments towards Waller were a lot more genuine than Tony Khan saying, like, hey, I like this Griff Garrison guy. Go into what the fuck have you been doing with Griff Garrison? At least they're doing something with Waller in WWE.
Let's just say that there was a reason that WWE picked up Brian Pillman Jr. and rechristened him as Lexus King instead of Griff Garrison. Just saying that. Just saying.
They didn't want the Varsity Blondes. They wanted to see what Pillman Jr. could do.
And fucking hell, Lexus King is my favorite part of NXT. I'm pulling for him so fucking much. Like,
you don't believe us? Go watch his entrance alone.
Push that fucker to the moon, please. He deserves it so much. But in any case, great fucking match. But we actually move on to another really great match. Surprisingly enough, it is the finals of the Continental Classic. It is Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. Two best friends going at it in just a good old-fashioned wrestling match. Tale as old as time. Bryan Danielson is out here on commentary, pulling for his stablemate. You know what was weird? Kingston and Moxley both come out and they're both wearing kick pads. And it looks so fucking silly with their attire. I'm like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit Eddie Kingston. It doesn't fit Jon Moxley. They're brawlers. They don't need fucking kick pads.
The silliness of this tournament comes in. As we talked about in our full gear review, Eddie Kingston announced that he would be putting both the Ring of Honor World and the New Japan Strong Openweight titles on the line in this tournament. But we were confused, saying, like, Kingston's not going to go undefeated in this tournament. It's a round robin. Everyone has to face each other. So you mean to tell me he's going to hot potato these titles around after he worked so hard to get them? So they streamlined it too. So apparently this came down to this is a new title being created. You know what? AEW needs another title like they need another hole in the head.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Yeah, let's add another title into the mix. Another mid-card title. Fuck it.
Yeah, the Continental title is being... So, no, okay. My head is spinning just thinking about this. The Ring of Honor World Championship, the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship, and the inaugural Continental title are now being morphed into one and being called the American Triple Crown Championship. Tony Khan, stop. Please. I'm begging you.
Make these titles... That's how you make titles meaningful is not having so goddamn many. You know? Yeah.
I used to like titles. Now I hate them. I hated them until Seth Rollins and Gunther restored my faith in titles.
Yeah, and not Roman Reigns, because he holds it for over 1,000 days, But in any case,
no more titles. Anywho, yes, all 3 of these championships are on the line with a new title being introduced. Oh, Lord help me. I used to have fun keeping track of title histories. I used to be such a title history buff. This is too much. Now I can barely remember who was the TNT champion a year ago.
Remember when Scorpio Sky was the TNT champion?
I do now.
Do you remember when Wardlow was the TNT champion?
Yeah, I was there when he lost it to Powerhouse Hobbs.
I forgot Powerhouse Hobbs was the TNT champion. He was TNT champion when he met him. I remember that.
I thought that image of Triple H holding every single title, including the Money in the Bank briefcases, including the Divas title, including the Andre the Giant trophy, I thought that was an absurd image. Now all these titles, I just put them on Roman Reigns.
Fuck it. Why not?
Tag team titles on him.
Mercedes Moné comes in with the New Japan Women's title, and Roman says... Roman Reigns becomes the New Japan Women's Champion.
I thought you were going to say Tony Khan wants to bring the New Japan Women's Championship.
Oh, he's going to. He's going to.
I know I'm on a tangent, but guess what? He introduced a Women's TV Championship to Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor doesn't even have a TV deal. And you want to add more titles to Ring of Honor.
They have a Women's TV Championship. They can't even put the TBS title correctly. What makes you think?
Good Lord, man.
I'm losing it, man.
I'm losing it too. What is AEW doing? 2024 is going to be wild. But so this match was actually really, really great. And it was such a pleasant surprise. And it was, to me, I was expecting these two guys to go in there and try and rechristen the magic that they had with that I Quit match that they had during the pandemic for the world title. But there was no real brutality in this match. These guys went in there and they tried to be stiff as fuck with one another. Not an ounce of blood was spilled in this match, which credit to Jon Moxley for not giving his wife a panic attack for once and just going in there and fucking wrestling. You know, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley do a lot of chain grappling, and I'm like, out of two brawlers, who would have expected this? This is really cool.
You know what? I never thought anything could top their AEW World Title match back in the pandemic days. But this match was very good. This match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be your run-of-the-mill Jon Moxley bleeds. Eddie Kingston's just like killing himself out there. No, I think these guys told a compelling story. Again, I really didn't want to see Moxley in the finals, but I think for what they did, I thought this was a lot better than I thought it would. Than I anticipated it.
Yeah, they were hitting some stiff spots on the hardest part of the ring on the apron. I think there was a brainbuster on the apron. Moxley bounces off the ropes with the wacky line. Eddie Northern Lights bomb. I mean, there's just they're pulling out moves that I hardly ever see from them because again, they're both presented as brawlers. But you know, I mean, both guys technically are baby faces. I think the Blackpool Combat Club are baby faces, but
I don't fucking know anymore. I feel like it's whatever's most convenient to the storyline, and I hate it.
Yeah, I'll give them credit at least for Moxley kind of playing the de facto bad guy because the crowd in New York really wants to cheer for Eddie, who is from nearby Yonkers. And lo and behold, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley start slapping the fuck out of one another. They hit each other as hard as they can. And Eddie hits a spinning back fist, and he hits him with the biggest spinning back fist of his life. Because he covers Mox, and Eddie Kingston wins. 17-minute match. Eddie Kingston is holding up all three titles. Moxley is a little bit dejected in the ring, but he mans up, and he basically not just extends the hand, he hugs one of his longest friends in the industry, one of his oldest friends in the industry, gives the ring to Eddie Kingston so he can celebrate with all three titles, which, again, they revealed the Continental Classic Championship belt, and Tomas, how would you describe this title and this design?
I think it's fine. I mean, when you have an oversaturation of titles, you kind of get numb to these reveals.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's fine. It's not the worst looking title. I'm no title buff. We may need to get our friend Skyler in here because he's the title buff. He's the title mark. He's the title belt mark. I really have no dog in that race when it comes to championship designs. Props to all my buddies out there that love championship belts, that build their own championship belts, that literally there's a whole Facebook page dedicated to trading belts, selling belts, trading pieces of belts, building your own belts. That is that's a whole fandom in its own aside from pro wrestling. But I'm the wrong guy to talk about title belts. I think they're cool, obviously. I really have no plans on owning one in my life. But to all you title guys out there,
debatable.
Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. If someone buys me one, I'll take it. But I will personally never shell out the money to buy a championship belt.
Except for the Snoop Dogg title.
No, fuck the Snoop Dogg. Anywho, despite the convoluted nature of this tournament, and it ended up really well, and I didn't like that there were 3 titles on the line, the image of Eddie Kingston holding up 3 titles was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, good for Eddie for fucking winning this tournament. Now, what does this mean? Is the Continental title going to be a full-time AEW championship moving forward? If I were booking it, no. If I were booking it, this Continental Classic belt is a belt for the guy to hold for a year until next year's Continental Classic. Treat it like
Owen Hart Cup.
Treat it like the Owen Hart Cup. You know, like Tony Khan wants to basically build like this wrestling promotion out of making it feel like a legitimate sport. Have basically a single elimination tournament every year around Memorial Day weekend, Double or Nothing. Fine. Have a round robin tournament at the end of the year. Fine. But you don't see Ricky Starks defending the Owen Hart Memorial title every week. You don't see that.
No.
You know?
It's a commemorative championship belt.
Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder now what's going to happen to the Ring of Honor World title. What's going to happen to the New Japan Strong title, because that's not AEW's title. That's New Japan's title.
That is why I want this Continental title to basically just be commemorative. And because if you don't do that and you make it full time, then it really devalues the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, which Eddie Kingston
held by
worked.
guys by Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Adam Cole, like, you know, a list of legends. You don't wanna, that is not a title you unify. Even though WWE has unified the WWE title more times. But I digress. I digress.
Great match. I'm going
this 3 3/4 stars. I enjoyed this a hell of a lot more than I thought I would.
I'm going 4, believe it or not.
Okay.
No, I really dug it. I think it's probably the most unique match you're going to see out of both of these men. Because, again, if you look at their whole AEW career so far, and especially their I Quit match against each other, these two men are known for bleeding and putting their bodies on the line. But they went out there and they wanted to prove the world wrong, and they wanted to showcase more so their wrestling skills. And bravo to both guys, because they are wrestlers first. So, kudos to them. I really, really enjoyed this match. But with that said, we have come to the World's End, the main event of World's End. And what is it, Tomas?
I am very also ashamed. I need to put this out here right now. This fucker was actually over at my house, and we were doing game night while this pay-per-view was going on. Out of respect for our guests, I had the pay-per-view going on in the background, so I wasn't 100% paying attention to this main event. I went and I checked on it here and there. So this is probably the only pay-per-view in like over 10 years that my eyes weren't glued to. And it's a damn shame, because it is Samoa Joe challenging MJF for the AEW World Championship.
Yep.
And I say that like I can't just go back and rewatch it. I still need to do that. This felt like a main event.
It did.
There's been such crazy booking going into this. Are we going to get the culmination of the whole Devil storyline? It was revealed on Dynamite the Wednesday before. Joe had been protecting MJF this whole time, like a la Batista and King Booker back in 2006, to make sure MJF was as healthy as he could be. Yeah, he's pretty healthy when his shoulder is fucking hanging off the bone.
MJF, as MJF said in a fucking great article that he wrote, I don't remember what magazine it was for the life of me,
Tribune.
But the Tribune, thank you. But oh man, it was such a great read. And it was revealed, not too long ago on one of the dirt sheets, I think, that MJF has been working with a torn labrum for the past number of weeks.
I hate that. I don't like seeing that. I don't like hearing that. If a wrestler is hurt, they need to go home and heal.
They do.
Again, let's normalize not being a tough guy. If you're hurt, you're hurt.
Yeah.
You see all the stories with Kota Ibushi going on right now, that he has been wrestling injured for years.
Yeah.
And now he's dug himself into a hole he can't get himself out of.
Excuse me when I say this, but MJF is currently one of, if not the best wrestler on the planet. And he is pulling a 2012 CM Punk. Even though he's injured, he's going to go out there and he does the "what would Harley Race do" mantra, and he continues to work. He continues to work even though he's injured, because a torn labrum is a pretty big deal. That puts you on the shelf for, God, I don't know, 6 months maybe? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. MJF is going to be off of AEW for a while, and that should spoil the finish of this. Yeah, but
spoiler alert. But
you could tell, because MJF is a babyface, how over he's been, this entire time. And Nassau Coliseum to him is a special location. That is his home arena. He had gone to see many a WWE event over there. I don't know if he was at SummerSlam 2002, and I don't know if he, pinpointed that as his inspiration for wanting to be a wrestler, but good Lord. I mean, maybe not, because he would have been 6 years old at the time, but in any case.
I mean, how old was Adam Copeland when he sat damn near ringside for WrestleMania 6?
Like 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wasn't going to wrestling events a lot when I was 6 years old, so I don't know if MJF was doing the same thing. But yeah, so in any regard, Nassau Coliseum is a special spot. Long Island is MJF's hometown. There is a whole video package of Long Island scumbags who are talking up MJF, and they're wearing the Burberry scarves. Yeah.
Breaking news. Speaking of our title friend Skyler, I think he just got the TNT title.
Of course he did. Yeah. Yep, he did.
There's a joke there somewhere.
Yep, he did. He's gonna spend a good chunk of rent on the TNT Championship. But anyhow, MJF makes his entrance and he's got this Ric Flair-esque robe that says, like, I don't even remember what the Long Island mantra was. The most.
Are we not going to talk about the video package beforehand?
We can talk about it, yeah.
With every single person from Long Island saying, "He's my scumbag. He's my scumbag."
Yeah, he's our scumbag, and the crowd started chanting, "He's our scumbag." And like I told you, because MJF is a babyface, he gets like one of the loudest pops of the evening. And before the match can even start, he's just sitting on the top rope, and he's just taking in the adulation from his hometown crowd. And he gets down off the top rope, he looks towards the entrance, and you know it's all about the boom. Surprisingly, Adam Cole makes an appearance, and he's going to be in MJF's corner. Samoa Joe is somewhat complaining about this. I don't know why. I mean, Adam Cole is injured. It's not like he's going to get physically involved right now. But anyway.
And that was the definition of the phrase, and the plot thickens.
The plot doth thicken. So MJF and Samoa Joe go in there, and I'd say this is around the same level as their match at Grand Slam. It's a bit more unpredictable in the sense, because, you know, MJF is working hurt here. But
I like this match a little more, honestly.
Yeah, you know,
and it's just crazy because you go back to the Jay White match too. MJF is taking bumps he doesn't need to be taking.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't.
Fucker took a muscle buster on the ring apron. Is this guy the
guy? I really don't know. It's not like he's Darby Allin though, and like he is going against what heel MJF would say, and he is working so unsafe. He's a workhorse right now because he's a babyface. You know, he wants to be a fighting champion, right? So Joe is teasing the muscle buster early on. MJF has a beautiful counter out of the muscle buster, which I've never really seen before. Like, because he, like, springs up as Joe starts, like, getting that running start to, like, actually execute the muscle buster. And MJF lands, like, perfectly on his feet to escape. And he makes a, you know, little babyface flurry, including going for a kangaroo kick. And I mark out every time. And Joe, I'm sure, too, Tomas is...
fucking stupid.
And I'm sure you were very proud of Samoa Joe for stopping the kangaroo kick from actually being executed.
Good.
What's so wrong with a kangaroo kick?
Tell me how it makes sense. Tell me how it makes sense.
What do you mean? How does it make sense?
Character. To the MJF character.
Maybe MJF is like 1/50th Australian, and that means he can hit a kangaroo kick. You know?
What if John Cena did an ostrich kick? Would that make sense?
Yeah, I think it would make sense.
What if Batista did the raccoon punch? Would that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense because he played Drax the Destroyer, and one of his best friends in that movie was Rocket Raccoon. You know, it's a direct tribute to one of his closest friends. Obviously, it makes sense.
Hogan. If Hulk Hogan did a donkey kick? Would that make sense?
Yeah, it would, because he has a whole bunch of brunt force. He's a big 290-pound man. He hits someone with a donkey kick. Yeah, it would hurt them, for sure. I don't see what your point is. The kangaroo kick is fun.
Not from Australia.
And
what kangaroo do you know that does this?
I mean, what is he going to call it? A chipmunk kick? That doesn't sound intimidating. That doesn't sound intimidating at all. You know?
Well, I have an idea. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
But the crowd loves it too much, though. The crowd loves it too much, and he's feeding into, because he's a babyface, he's listening to the audience, right? So in any case, Joe and MJF go back and forth for a little bit. MJF hits his Heat Seeker, and I kind of wish that they kind of saved the Heat Seeker and MJF didn't hit it, because that means Joe kicks out at 2. MJF goes for the Heat Seeker again. Joe blocks it. There's a roll up. I mean, there's some really good chain wrestling in here. MJF and Samoa Joe, 2 great professional wrestlers. Samoan Submission Machine, of course, is going for, you know, various submission holds all the way through. MJF, oh man, okay. MJF, I shit you not, picks up Samoa Joe and hits him with an F5. I shit you not. I mean, Joe, of course, kicks out. My thing is, why would MJF hit an F5 when he probably knows it's not going to work? Because if another Samoan Joe kicks out of 6 F5s, what makes him think that one F5 is going to put another Samoa Joe down?
I mean, Brock Lesnar did it.
It took him fucking 7 tries, but he put him down, didn't he? He put him down.
No. Remember Great Balls of Fire? Lesnar and Joe? Only took 1.
Oh, well, I was thinking of Roman Reigns. I wasn't thinking of this Samoa Joe, but...
I know you were, but the real Samoa Joe went down with 1 F5. Also, a very
unfortunately,
impressive feat of strength from MJF with a bum knee.
To
lift this damn near 300-pound man.
Yeah, let alone
deliver an F5.
Let alone a torn labrum in his shoulder. Yeah, he hits Samoa Joe, a man who's over 300 pounds, with an F5. It's MJF's a tough
Very
motherfucker,
impressive.
Man. It's a tough New Yorker. MJF. Oh wait, no, there was a ref bump. There was a ref bump before that because there was
have to remind me because remember I only saw like spurts of this match.
Yeah, there was a slow count after the F5, and of course Joe kicks out if you leave enough time for a Samoa Joe to kick out of the F5. Adam Cole gives MJF the Dynamite Diamond ring. Joe goes for another submission. MJF with another roll up. Joe, the Dynamite Diamond ring kind of felt pointless in the grand scheme of things because it does not factor into this finish at all. Samoa Joe locks in a coquina clutch. MJF is in the coquina clutch for maybe about a minute and a half. He starts like convulsing around on the ring mat. He's selling it. MJF eventually his face turns purple. Bryce Remsburg lifts him up for 1, 2, 3. Arm drops. The bell rings and Tomas fucking flips out. And I flip out. Samoa Joe is the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And Tomas, I want you to kind of eat your words right now because you did not believe for months and months that MJF was a babyface this whole entire time, and he loses the title to Samoa Joe. Clean as a whistle.
I'm going to save my comments for that after we get through the next segment because,
all right,
there were 2 conditions. There were 2 conditions I said had to happen in order for you to believe. So, yeah, I wish I had a fork in front of me right now because I'd be eating my words. But let's save that because Samoa Joe is the brand new AEW World Champion.
Okay. Let's not overlook this.
No other way. There was no other way for this match to end because Joe was being booked like a monster. He was a beast. He was just how do you fumble a guy like Joe? He was an absolute killer in TNA, and then they fumbled him in the Hogan era. He basically, you got Samoa Joe on a silver platter in WWE, and you don't do anything with him. Apparently, Lesnar did want to put Joe over a Great Balls of Fire, but Vince went against it. How do you not put a world title on this man? So, again, props to Tony Khan. The right decision was made. We are in the era of Joe. It is crazy that this man is in his 40s, and he is still as relevant as ever. And
Samoa
Joe, if I were to compile like a top 50 favorite wrestlers of all time in any promotion, Joe's on that list for sure.
Joe is solidifying himself as one of my favorite wrestlers ever. I'm being honest. Samoa Joe, Look at this guy. Just take one look at him, and you see a badass. And you see a guy who is a pro wrestler, and you are convinced that he can kick your ass at any moment. He brings so much legitimacy to everything he does. The TNA World Heavyweight title win over Kurt Angle at Lockdown 2008. One of my favorite TNA matches of all time. Unironically. Him winning this AEW World title solidifies him as one of, if not, this is so awesome. And another thing, you mentioned that WWE did nothing with Samoa Joe. He got a handful of opportunities, but Vince McMahon never put the WWE Championship on him. That's the one piece that's missing of Samoa Joe's legacy. But everything that was handed to Samoa Joe in WWE, no matter how stupid the promos might have sounded in the script, Samoa Joe made it sound fucking intimidating as hell. And he sounded like a legitimate badass, no matter how horrible the dialogue was. Joe is a pro, man.
To see Joe at his best on the mic in WWE, you go back to the segment where he dressed down every single person that was in the Elimination Chamber with him. And he had one of the hardest lines ever. And yeah, Randy Orton, I know me and you need to go face-to-face, but don't worry, I'm going to defang the Viper when I'm ready. I'm like, oh, we never got that match.
Don't worry, I'm going to defang the Viper when I'm ready. I'm going to put you to sleep. You know, I'm working on it.
Your ass up before I put your ass to sleep. Like, oh my God, where did you fuck off Samoa Joe?
I love Samoa Joe. I love him to pieces.
We're missing the best part of that promo. So, Jeff Hardy, why don't you pretend like this is an AA meeting and you wait your turn while someone else shares it? And you shut your mouth while someone else shares it.
He needs to tell the current Jeff Hardy that now, but
Randy Orton with that line. Oh my God, I love referencing that promo. Love that
promo. I love the promo where he interrupts Brock and Roman in the build up to SummerSlam 2017. Just this one line that he has, it just lives rent free in my head, dude. Well, aren't we living in a whole little fantasy?
So damn good.
Consummate.
Again, I need to compile a list of wrestlers I want to meet because Joe is on that list. He just seems like the coolest dude ever.
A perfect professional wrestler, I think, in every sense of the word. As is MJF. Which, honestly, again, got to commend him. Over 400 days as AEW champion, the longest reign of all time. Go home, go heal up, please come back soon, and finish off this storyline with the devil. And that's where we get the aftermath.
Yes. I was too busy gushing over Samoa Joe, as everyone should. You should gush over Samoa Joe. He's badass motherfucker. That's my father would say. So this is where things get interesting. So Adam Cole is consoling MJF over this loss. It's very reminiscent of All In. And that's when the devil and his followers come out.
All as the fans are chanting bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, they're very upset that MJF just lost his title. The disciples of the devil surround the ring, and as injured Cole and MJF are, back to back, ready to fight these guys off, the lights go out. And I told myself, the minute these lights go up, we're going to find out who the devil is. Lights come up. MJF is laid out. You have the devil's disciples surrounding the devil. And it's Adam Cole sitting on the chair, propped up with his crutch, looking down at MJF. The disciples take off their masks. It's Wardlow, Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett.
Yes. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, by the way, because they beat MJF and Joe on Dynamite, I want to say a couple weeks ago. And Joe was
in the match, though, so we didn't know it was them until this moment.
Yeah, Joe was in cahoots with the devil the whole time. Because the whole, I actually really enjoy this whole whodunit thing, like who the devil is, and the reveal I thought was executed really well. MJF, let me also, correct you real quick. MJF was not laid out because there was a point where two of the devil's disciples had Adam Cole by the arms. Two of the devil's disciples have MJF by the arms, and they're Cole is like, hit me, you son of a bitch, hit me, you know. And MJF is, he's basically saying, no, don't you hit him. He's trying to protect his brochacho and all that, but
the drama is so cheesy, but I loved it.
The betrayal,
that and the All In stuff, and the All Out stuff, all the drama in this story was so cheesy, but I couldn't help but like it. It was like the cheesiest, most dramatic daytime soap opera you could ever imagine, but it's a guilty pleasure. I liked it a lot.
And it
reminds me of watching soap operas with my grandparents growing up, and it was so over the top and cheesy, but we couldn't stop watching.
Again, long-term booking strikes again. This MJF Adam Cole saga has a whole new wrinkle to it. And honestly, all of the members of this new Undisputed Kingdom stable make sense. Taven and Bennett as your tag team. Roderick Strong as the guy who's been the weasel that's been trying to drive a wedge in between Cole and MJF this whole time. Cole's best friend from the Undisputed Era in WWE. Wardlow, fuck, I'm glad Tony Khan remembered him. And it makes sense because Wardlow powerbombs MJF once again. Adam Cole takes the devil mask out of the pocket of his jacket, lays it on MJF, and the crowd starts showering them with booze. I was looking at this and I was like, Damn. Something Adam Cole said to me when I met him a few months back made all the difference. It's starting to all make sense now, man. It really is. Because I told Adam, I can't wait to see you win the title. And he said, very chipper, I'll never forget it. He was like, that's the plan, brother. That's the plan. You know, because I guess
with the master plan.
Adam Cole has a master plan. He is going to sick Wardlow on Samoa Joe so Wardlow can win the world championship just so Wardlow can give it to Adam Cole. Now, here's the thing. I understand.
Makes Wardlow look like a big bitch, but that's beside the point.
I understand. I completely get that Adam Cole is injured. And there's some things that are just out of our control, and you try and make the best of the situation. I commend these writers and the performers so much for like adapting to the situation as it comes. I hope Adam Cole heals up soon. I hope we see him in the ring sooner or later. But if I'm nitpicking anything, with him saying that, Wardlow, you know, basically Wardlow going after Samoa Joe and then him winning the title, giving it to Adam Cole. Two problems with that. Number one, he shouldn't want to go after Samoa Joe because Joe is in on this plan as well. Joe is not a member of the stable, but it's like, I mean, you shouldn't want to go after Samoa Joe when he has the title because you helped him in this regard. Joe was helping you achieve your goals. And number two, saying that Wardlow is going to win the title just so Adam Cole can get it, that sounds an awful lot like what Christian Cage and Luchasaurus are doing. It's exactly the same. And I'm like, you gotta add some variety in there. Like, you can send Wardlow after, you know, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense for him to go after Christian right now. Orange Cassidy, maybe? You know, maybe have all of the Undisputed Kingdom draped in gold, but don't make Wardlow look like your bitch when Christian is doing the same thing in the mid-card. Like, it's... those are my only problems with this. I dig the stable.
The other thing is, this is the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers because not only is Adam Cole still hurt, MJF is hurt now. So we're not going to see a resolution to this storyline for a very long time, and that's a damn shame. I don't know what else you do with the Undisputed Kingdom between that time because I know it's Cole's goal to get the World Championship, but we don't even know when Cole's going to be back, let alone MJF. Like, we might be looking at these guys revisiting this feud in 2025.
Fuck. I mean, as long as you don't wait until 2026 to do it like you did with fucking Swerve and Keith Lee, you know?
Yeah, but they still haven't done that.
Jesus Christ, man. But, I mean, what did you think of the reveal? Did you think it was going to be Adam Cole? Was Adam Cole at the forefront of your mind as the devil?
I should have. I had, a feeling, but just the reveal was still very well done.
Yeah.
And I think, again, in a perfect world where people can't get injured and everything goes on without a hitch, this would be the next chapter in an epic feud between MJF and Cole. Alas, it's a cliffhanger. I've been unable to catch up on Dynamite, so I don't know what's going on. I know about the promo where Cole explained himself, but again, with MJF out of the picture for the foreseeable future, I don't know what they do. Is the goal really the World Championship, or is the goal to get MJF? Because you can't get MJF now.
No, because in kayfabe, I'm fully convinced that MJF is going to re-sign. I am 100% convinced that the bidding war of 2024 is going to wind up with MJF staying with Tony Khan. Because, I mean, I don't think, like, MJF... It would be very, very odd if you have this gigantic cliffhanger, and then once MJF is all healed up, then he goes over to work with Cody Rhodes and everybody on the other side.
MJF versus Roman Reigns confirmed for WrestleMania 40.
Nope. It's too soon for that.
I understand where you're coming from because that's like if you got the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers in a television show just to find out the show got canceled.
I'm still bitter about fucking iCarly. I'm still bitter about that. But yeah.
Or How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah. Well, I mean, iCarly. Like, did you watch iCarly on Paramount Plus?
Oh no.
They gave you a fucking huge cliffhanger, and then Paramount Plus was like, "Nah, we're not gonna renew it for season 4." I'm like, what the fuck? You can't do that.
getting the cliffhanger to Across the Spider-Verse and being promised the movie the following year, but that's not going to happen.
Nope, that's why they took part 1 out of the subtitle. But in any regard, Adam Cole is the devil. I'm compelled. I have a few nitpicky things about the clunkiness of the narrative here, and like the motivation here is a little bit shaky. But
it needs to be there are some kinks that need to be ironed out. Overall, the last 3 matches of the show really saved the show from being a disaster, even though I enjoyed the opener. Everything else was just either bleh or just not too interesting. You had a pretty strong opening match. Not a lot of stakes there, but it was pretty strong. You had a decent match with Miro and Andrade. You had a decent match with Toni Storm and Riho. You got that whatever the hell Strickland and Dustin was. You got that very, very sleepy 8-man tag. You have a very sleepy TBS title match, and then you have a very stellar, bookend of the card. I'm sorry, man, I can't go any higher than a 6.5. This was not one of the strongest pay-per-views.
I think, with 2 matches over the 4-star level for me, and a really compelling main event with a great narrative and a shocking winner at the end, you can honestly make a case for either this show or Double or Nothing as AEW's weakest show of 2023. But, I mean, I'll make the case for this one. It's not to say that this show was a bad one, but Double or Nothing at least didn't have Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes or anything so offensive on the undercard, I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10 because I enjoyed those last 3 matches way too much. I mean, Tony Khan's really got to, get those kinks out of his undercard before I can really call AEW, classic pay-per-views again.
Again, AEW, you need to give me a reason to give you $50 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, and thank God there was no pay-per-view in January, and I don't think there's going to be a pay-per-view in February.
Yeah.
But you need to really solidify these cards if you're going to be doing something like that. Quality over quantity, my friend. And again, you circle back. Triple H was confident enough to book a 5-match pay-per-view in Fastlane. And it was, I would rather have 6 very strong matches on a card than, and I know this was a lot more condensed. This was 9 or 10 matches.
Dude,
I would still rather have a solid 6 or 7 match card.
It's been like that for a year and a half now. I would have paid $50 for fucking Elimination Chamber just to see Roman and Sammy. I would have paid $50 for Extreme Rules with Bray Wyatt's return at the end. That was only 6 matches. You
got to give me, in an era where streaming is so dominant in, the world of media, when, TNA has a streaming service, WWE has a streaming service, technically Ring of Honor has a streaming service. Again, that should be, once these TV right deals are done and Tony Khan knows where Dynamite's going to land, you got to focus on getting one of those streaming deals. And I know it's easier to just partner up with one of them, which is, I love the Max one because I already have Max. I would love a partnership with there, and better than Tony Khan trying to create his own, because there's going to be a lot more success in just partnering with one of the streams and becoming a merger with them. It's just, you got to make these pay-per-views more accessible.
Absolutely.
Maybe go the TNA route. Maybe do, your Wrestle Dreams and your Worlds End. Maybe those be the ones included in the subscription, but maybe you do $40 for Double or Nothing. Maybe you do $40 for All Out. Maybe you do $40 for All In. You got to make these more accessible. You got to give me a reason to want to buy these.
I'm with you, man. But guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up, especially if you like discussing wrestling with us and making dumb jokes about wrestling all the time and having intelligent discussions here and there. Up next, I'm thinking is going to be our next retro pod with SummerSlam 2005. And of course, look forward to Royal Rumble 2024 with 2 huge Royal Rumble matches, a fatal 4-way for the Universal Championship. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Maybe Seth Rollins versus Jinder Mahal for the World Heavyweight title.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, folks. But guys, thank you again so much. Commence that back talk, and take care, guys.